Hello, everyone. Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 30. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's this? Oh!
And Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Yeah, we got the New York boys here tonight because I don't know where Brian is. I don't know where Brett is. Maybe they'll show up later. Who knows? Well, it's just us three tonight.
The New York boys and New York transplant.
Yes. Quick couple things. We got a lot of questions tonight. Happy birthday to Brian, who is not here. That's probably why he's not here, because this is his birthday.
He's probably getting pissed, as the British would say.
He's getting pissed drunk, as a translation for us Americans. And quickie thing, Manny, somebody was in Game Informer today, and I think that somebody was you.
Yes, I was featured on Game Informer's website. I'm not sure it's going to be in their book, but that's kind of cool. Yeah, they took a picture that I recently did, which was a I drew like Big Boss's red bionic arm, kind of like looked like he's busting out of the ground. It's kind of bloody looking, so I drew that, and then they featured it on their page, and it's interesting. They made it into like a semi-feature / question thing. Like it's like here's a picture drawn by artist Emilio Lopez, and then it says what is the importance of the bionic arm and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, they had to fluff it up with something.
Yeah, to fluff it up, so it was interesting. It was they used it as a kind of vehicle to kind of talk about something about the game, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
I do that sometimes with news stories too. I just find it funny. It's like you've been doing this for like a month now. Why they didn't feature any of your other stuff?
It's something that hit. I mean, it's one thing that's slightly different about all of this one is that it was the last maybe 4 or 5 of them weren't retweeted by Hideo Kojima, but for some reason that one was. So that one got retweeted and then exploded, and it exploded kind of like in different rows. So it's like first, Ken Imaizumi, who's the producer of Metal Gear, retweeted it, and then maybe a day or two later, Kojima did it, and then it exploded some more. So it's an interesting thing because that image is not like one of the more complicated ones. Like it didn't take a lot of time to do that one.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. You spend less time on something, and then that's the one that everybody kind of reacts to, which is cool.
Yeah. It's like, yo, Game Informer, man, why don't you say Emilio Lopez?
I could have
co-host of the Throwdown.
They don't know that.
Those bastards.
They don't know that. They don't do any research. Cool. They just know that I'm an artist. I mean, all of my art links and stuff are on my Twitter. So yeah.
Yeah, your DVR must have exploded, man.
Did it? I mean, it didn't have a link to my DeviantArt.
Yeah, it did. It's like, check out his DeviantArt page.
Oh shit! Well, maybe
so you should check
Maybe I should check my DeviantArt page at some time.
Yeah, you go there, you see it like just blowing up. But let us get right to questions because we got a lot tonight. Final Stage Boss, as always, leading us off, and as usual, actually this one's not really loaded. I mean, it can be construed as that, but it's actually a legit question. All right, not that they aren't legit already, but this is a very good question anyway. Why do some people think that this year's Halo and Forza will help close the 2-to-1 gap between Xbox One and PS4 when last year's Halo and Forza did nothing to close the gap? I mean, okay, to answer that question, because it's a new Halo game and new Halo games always sell consoles, so they think the gap is going to be closed. My thing is, people are forgetting that PS4 is still going to continue to sell systems. So while I think Halo, and I'm not even counting Forza. I don't think it's going to do anything. Halo is going to move systems, but it's not going to close the gap. Maybe it'll shorten it by like 2 or 3 million, but it's not going to be significant, enough. I don't believe. What do you guys think?
That Halo will close the gap or something?
Yeah, like he basically wants to know how come people think the new Halo and Forza are going to close the gap when last year's Halo and Forza did not do the same thing.
I think it's maybe because maybe that people think that this time around it's because it's a new one. It's an actual new one that at least for a new Halo game. I think it will. I'm not sure if it'll close the gap, but I think that's what the idea is. Is that it's a numbered Forza, right? It's not just Forza.
Yeah, it's a numbered one. Yeah,
I think that in this case, it's like being that it's a numbered Halo, a new numbered Halo, and a new numbered Forza. People think that these one will be the thing that people will jump to. I mean, it remains to be seen. I'm not sure. I think it'll make things a lot better. but I don't know if it'll exactly close the gap. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Chris?
Yeah, I don't think Forza will do much. I mean, we already had a new Forza, and I'm sure it sold well. I don't know if it sold many Xboxes. I don't think it was like a reason like, yes, I'm going to get Xbox for Forza. So I think they'll do okay. I think a new Halo will definitely be big for them, but I think they had a trifecta with Quantum Break, and now they lost that trifecta, so I don't think that it will be quite as good as a holiday as they originally planned. I don't know about closing the gap. I think it would be good for them. Like, new Halo always sells well, and they're putting a lot behind Guardians. They really are. Like, the hype has already started, so they think it's going to be big. And, of course, they're going to bombard everyone with, Halo, yes, look. Okay, so I'm sure it'll be pretty big. I'm excited for it, but I already have an Xbox, so I don't know how many new systems it'll sell, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, we shall see, but it's definitely not going to close the gap. I think we could all agree on that one. That's not going to happen.
I don't think so. And I don't think the holiday is going to be as strong. Like I said, they lost Quantum Break, and I know a lot of Xbox guys were banking on, look, they have this big holiday season. We got these 3 big games. Now you only have 2 big games, and really you only have 1 big game because, I'm not really a racing person. I like driving games, but Forza's not my cup of tea, so I really don't count that.
Racing games are niche anyway. Let's just be honest. So, Halo is the big.
There was a time that I feel like racing games really were like the forefront.
Oh yeah.
At some point, I think it just kind of stuck to people who are really big racing fans, with the exception of like something that has like universal, maybe broader appeal, like Burnout.
Yeah. But yeah, Halo has that universal appeal, so that'll definitely do well. But Forza, it's just like a niche thing, and it's only on one system, so I doubt that's going to sell any systems. Mm-hmm. I know the Xbox guys are going to give a shit for that, but hey, we're just being honest here. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next question. This is a good one too. There are dozens of gods, demigods, and deities in Greek mythology. So why do people think Kratos killed everybody in God of War 3? Okay, Kratos personally didn't kill everything, but after he killed Zeus, everything else died. That's what they were trying to imply.
Yeah, they were essentially saying that when he destroyed most of those gods, it essentially flooded the earth and all that stuff. So, some horrible catastrophe happened. So we don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like they just implied, like, yeah, after he killed Zeus, all the other gods just died. All Greek mythology in general just died with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they were implying. All right, the last question from him. This is a funny one. Screw the Walking Dead season finale. Why didn't you guys watch WrestleMania 31 last week? I don't watch wrestling. That's my reason I don't watch wrestling.
Hey, I usually go to visit my uncle on WrestleMania Day, but if I'm watching WrestleMania, that at the same time, I can't be here on the show.
Yeah, so, he stay here for you guys.
And I don't have cable, so.
There you go.
I mean, I could get the WrestleMania network or the WWE network or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, you don't even watch Walking Dead though, so you didn't watch either.
No, I haven't watched Walking Dead since like season 2 or 3, something like that. All I know is that when they first got to the
jail.
The jail. That's the part that I kind of tuned out. I was like, whatever. It's gonna be the same.
All right, Chris, did you watch WrestleMania?
No, I don't watch wrestling anymore.
All right, so there you go. I stopped watching wrestling when WWE and WCW merged. That's around the time I stopped.
Yeah, that's about. I mean, I kind of dabbed in it a little bit after, but not. I mean, like I said, I've said this before on a couple of tweets and sometimes on the show. Like, when I look at all the roster now, I don't recognize anybody. I don't know who these people are.
No one, there are barely any dudes with names anymore. It's just their actual name now, like Christopher or whatever. It's like, what's their gimmick?
I call it the guy in wrestling shorts time. So it's like there's no real gimmicks and there's no more real special names anymore. So it's like Ryan Bennessy. Who's that?
Yeah, who's that?
Larry Lokeford. Okay, what's he do? He wears leotards.
Yeah.
You know who Eddie Guerrero is because he's fucking, he's Eddie Guerrero and he has that iconic mask. You know who La Parka is because he's got that iconic mask, and that stuff doesn't really exist anymore. They're starting to push that nowadays, where like you see, there's like this Samoan group that they're very, they wear this crazy makeup and shit. There's this one dude who has he's kind of cool. he has this lantern, and he looks like he was like the leader of some crazy cult, and he had these two other guys that looked like fucked up killer guys.
Oh,
so
man.
that guy's cool. Like he's a really good wrestler too. And then there's just not many of them that just have that anymore. Like you don't see Undertakers or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. That's why I kind of stopped.
Mankind's,
Yeah. All right.
Even Steve Austin had his own thing, and he even had like that little extra Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, it's funny you mentioned that because that's when I kind of came back to wrestling. Like when Steve Austin became big, I'm like, hey, this is cool. I like this guy. He's like a big drunk, crazy asshole. But they still had all those gimmick guys around him,
They also, and that's considered the Attitude Era, and that in those days they were trying to like be like extreme, bashing each other in head with with tables.
Can't even do that anymore. I heard.
No, because of the WWF or WWE is a publicly traded company, and now they try to keep it to PG-13 type of stuff. So there's no chair shots, none of that. You'll only see that stuff on maybe like a pay-per-view.
So we don't get like a Rage in the Cage, like all that crazy shit?
You're not going to get as much blood as you used to.
Yeah.
Really no blood.
Hello, birthday boy.
Wait, we live?
Yeah, we're live, man. We're fucking.
I thought we were live at 5:30.
No, dude, this is Throw Down Your Questions.
Not my fault.
That's fine,
man.
Whatever. We just thought you were partying with your birthday monies.
Yeah, that's what we figured.
Listening to some Kool in the Gang.
Oh, man. Right.
What?
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Brian, I'm actually glad you actually came here at a perfect time. You're going to like this next question. From Other Zinc. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah, Chris, get ready for this one. Is the PS4 as powerful as Sony says it is? Go.
I don't know. I mean, they put out a technical white paper, which I'm pretty sure they didn't lie about. So, I mean, what did they say? I don't remember Sony saying much about PS4 power, so I don't understand what he's asking.
What he's trying to say is, how come every game isn't 1080p 60 frames a second?
Oh, because they don't just make driving games. Bloodborne isn't a driving game. You don't understand how racing games work versus other games. You don't understand how things operate. So that's why you think that Forza is the pinnacle of game development. Okay, and there are other games, there are other things that factor into things like open world or sandboxes that games can't run at that.
And also, to be honest, you look, the guys who make Bloodborne probably aren't exactly, their engine probably at this point can't handle a 1080p of environment. Yeah, because I mean, all they're using is.
No, actually, that game is 1080p. It's
1080p.
not
okay.
60, yeah, it's not 60
So what
frames.
game was it that isn't 1080p?
No, he's trying to say that there are no PS4 games that are 1080p 60 frames a second, even though there are a few of them. Not a lot, but there are a few of them.
Well, most of them are 1080p, aren't they?
Oh yeah, most of them are. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's the PS4 as powerful as Sony is. It's the Xbox One as powerful as Microsoft says it is, because few games on that thing run at 1080p, let alone 60 frames a second.
The number one, it's like, again, it's as far as I'm concerned, if there's a good game and it just so happens to be on be a little bit of a lower frame rate, or even the resolution is not as high, it doesn't bug me. If it's something like, you put it like a 420. If it's like a 420 game that's been blown up to 1080p, yes, I will make a big deal about it. But
you know what? I'm just gonna be honest right now, man. Other Zinc, why are you talking all this shit about the PS4 when your fucking Xbox can't even do this stuff? What are you talking about? This dude's always asking for 1080p 60 frames a second games on PS4. What about Xbox?
Yeah.
Forza, I'm sorry, a racing game doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count? It's a game.
It's a game.
It does count, Tony. But
yeah, no. Listen, let me explain.
You look at the numbers of how many games that don't reach that level on the Xbox 360, and
Chris, explain why is that game 60 frames a second, 1080p? Because it's a racing game. Just saying.
Drive Club excuse? That's a racing game.
Yeah, well, that's on those guys, man. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
there you
that's
go.
on
He
those
caught you
guys.
right there. Come on,
You
dude.
ain't cracked nothing. That's on them. That's all the developers, isn't
Here,
it?
let's just make everything happy. Both companies underpromised. They overpromised and underdelivered. All right, Microsoft and Sony both lied to us. We're not getting the level of games we should be getting. And if you want a consistent high frame rate, get yourself a PC.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
I was
go.
just about to end it with that. You know, these console guys always talking this bullshit about frame rates and 1080p. If you really care about that stuff, get a PC and shut the fuck up.
Don't buy any hype. If I want a faster game, I could pop a brand new 980 GT card in my PC and be set. So there you go. That's your answer to this thing. Get yourself a PC. It won't lie to you.
Yeah. Oh man. All right.
But you might lie to you.
Yeah,
I might lie to myself.
Yeah, you lie.
No, if I had J-Gon money and get a Titan Z, yeah, I wouldn't be lying to myself.
Well,
Arab money.
wasn't the biggest thing?
Oil money.
Come on, you know that's how he has his money. Come on now. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, whatever. All right, moving on. Killax 214. What did you think of the trailer for the Attack on Titan live action movie? We talked about this before. I was like, so they're all Japanese now, because remember in the show it was like that, you know, Asian people in general are very rare because they all like almost went extinct now. It's nothing but Japanese people. We'll see about it because this is a Japanese movie. Japanese live action movies are generally not good. So yeah, I don't have much hope for this. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they are all Japanese. When they first saw a Japanese person in there, they're like, "Oh my God, why you look so weird?" You know?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be rare.
I didn't know what to think of it. I mean, I've watched the anime, and I don't know how much of a story they're going to tell in the condensed thing. The effects were pretty good, though. I was impressed with the look of the Colossal Titan and stuff. But then again, I kind of like this stuff animated. I kind of like seeing all that crazy shit happening that I don't think they're going to do much justice with a live-action movie. I don't know.
I'm just going to be honest. I think it's going to be terrible. I'm just saying.
I don't think
it's going to be another Captain Harlock or they made a Captain
Star
Harlock
Blazers?
or Star Blazers.
Yeah.
Kasharn.
Yeah, there's not a good track record, people. So no.
Yeah, I just prefer that stuff animated. I
mean,
think.
granted, the question was, what do we think of the trailer? The trailer was cool, but you know, yeah, I don't know.
To be honest, I haven't seen it. I didn't have any interest in it, so
yeah. Brian, did you see it?
Nope.
Well,
Right.
To Brian's defense, there's only one trailer that matters, and that's Avengers.
Yes.
Right? That's the only trailer that matters. So.
Oh, you have no idea. It's like I went to see Fast 7, I guess today, and they played like the Ultron or the Avengers trailer, the third one.
Yes.
And I was able to say like every single line in the trailer. It was really freaking weird. So I haven't seen the trailer for this Attack on Titan thing. If it's live action, then it's, I don't know. As Tony said, it may work better animated than live action, purely because Dragon Ball, and I say no more.
And that was an American movie.
That's why that was shit. It was made by us.
But still, like,
See Norris.
Do anime movies make good live action?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
No, well, because it set the anime set such a bar, right, for the action and pacing of that series that I don't think they could do it justice. I don't care how much CG you do, unless you're gonna make it 100% CG, and then why bother?
Yeah, just make it animated.
Just make an anime movie, then. Yeah.
It's insane. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Do you think Chucky will fit in a Mortal Kombat game? I don't know, because he's kind of small. I mean, he could be good as a goof character, I guess, but I don't see, like, people... Yeah.
Sure, put him in there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
They're putting everybody... Freddy Krueger is in it, friggin' Jason's in it, Predator's in it. Sure, why not throw him in there?
He could just jump on your face and stuff.
Yeah, the only problem is that they'd have to figure out how you're going to be able to fight him because he's so short.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, as a goof character, I guess they could toss him in or something. I don't know.
I'm guessing that he'll only be able to be hit by like mid and low attacks.
Yeah,
like most like small characters.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'll be about as cheap as.
Yeah.
It'll be about as cheap as that one character from Tekken, the old man that used to lay on the floor. I think his name was Dr. Faust or something silly like that. And all his, it wasn't Dr. Faust. You know what I'm talking about,
Dr.
right?
Boscovich.
Yeah, where he would just lay on the ground, and the only moves that worked on him were like low sweeping moves.
Yeah, it'll have to be something like that.
Or Gone from Tekken. You remember he's that little dragon thing?
Yeah.
All right. Next question here. What other podcasts do you listen to? I don't listen to other podcasts. I don't. I can't write and listen to something at the same time. So I don't listen to other podcasts.
For me, I listen to still untitled, The Adam Savage Project, which is the one that Adam Savage and Tested does. I listen to the Camouflage Radio from the guys who make Republic. And I used to listen to the Kojima Report or Kojima Alert, but that's not on anymore. Or now, what is it? Yeah, it's Kojima Station. Yeah, I used to listen to that. So now it's just Adam Savage and the Camouflage one. And sometimes I turn on to see how the Fan Bros guys are doing. I'll listen to those guys. Sometimes I'll listen to our boys from Brucago.
Yeah, that's the only other podcast I try to listen to. So I'm like, it's hard. Like, I want to listen to all these podcasts. There's, a lot of our friends do podcasts, but it's just hard for me to actually stop everything I'm doing just to listen to a podcast.
The big difference for me, it's like I'm mostly doing something else that's not writing related. I can't listen to anything and write at the same time either.
Yeah, it's tough. Brian, I know you listen to a bunch of them. So what do you listen to?
I listen, apart from the ones on the site, like Knights of the Turntable, The Co-op, Beam in the Beard, and that's all right. Yeah,
that's all it was, yeah.
Like the given ones. I also listen to the Warzone from time to time, because, Elite Dangerous is like one of those games that's, like, I won't say it's made for podcasts, like listening, but it's definitely one that I can put on a podcast and then just go, So I usually just listen to something and play Elite Dangerous at the same time. Let's see. There's another website called Double Toasted. They do like movie reviews, and they usually have a podcast every Sunday and Wednesday. So just a bunch of movie news. And then there's another website called Rage Select. They have a podcast. I listen to it every Monday. So I listen to that, and that's pretty much it. I don't really listen to that many because, again, just time wise. But hey.
Yeah, Chris, what about you? Any podcasts?
Yeah, I mean, besides ours, I listen to. I used to listen to stuff on Jupiter Broadcasting. They did. TechSnap and Linux Action Show. I mean, those are still on. I try to catch them when I can, but I don't usually keep up with it. I had another podcast I listened to called Real Life Sci-Fi. That's pretty fun. They talk about a lot of conspiracy theories and aliens and all this stuff. It's a fun little podcast. Nice. I used to listen to Giant Bombcast, but I dropped off that. Retronauts, and they talk about classic gaming. They're a good show. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, Brett isn't here, but I know he listens to Harmontown, Dan Harmon's podcast, where they just talk about random shit. So I don't know what else he listens to, but all right, that's pretty much that for that. Let's go. Here's a few questions from Mr. Torrance Davis.
Yeah.
And I mean, besides the first one, which people already kind of know our thoughts, he asked some great questions. The first one is, okay, what did you guys think of the HipHopGamer episode? Do you want to destroy something beautiful afterwards? We kind of gave our thoughts already. Like, the fans liked it, so yeah.
But then, what did you like? What was the question? What did you think?
Like he said, no. The question was, did it make you want to destroy anything beautiful afterwards?
What, essentially do like Fight Club, or just
because I know Torrance was frustrated by it.
Oh yeah, he was frustrated by it?
Yeah.
What was frustrating him about it?
You were there. Like 5,000 people trying to, talk at the same time, and we couldn't keep the show, together. That's why.
I think again, I you know, in hindsight, I think the first part of it went good. I think once you started getting knocked out and stuff like that, then it kind of got a little,
Yeah,
got a little
I could
crazy.
referee, Charles and hip hop. But yeah, we already gave our thoughts on that. Next, okay, let's get to the really good stuff here. This is some deep shit right now, man. Okay, if you had $100 million, what would you do with it? Please, no pay off bill shit. Get deep. Ooh, man, I need to think about this one.
I mean, it can't be one thing. To pay off
Yeah, no, it's not $100 million. Go nuts, man.
Dude, I mean, if you had $100 million, I mean, I don't have $100 million in bills. I'd pay that shit off right away. I'm sorry, Torrance.
Yeah. After you pay your bills.
One thing I would also do is because you can't have $100 million. What is it? I forgot. There's a specific amount that you can't have in the bank. That's uninsured, right? So first thing I'd do is I'd try to get a bunch of savings accounts and stick it in there that actually get interest on them, so I can keep my fortune. That's the number one thing I'd do. I'd probably invest in something. I'm not exactly sure what. I mean, I guess I'd buy a pretty nice place, but I mean, I don't think I'd buy like a mansion. But if anything, one of the things I would do is just try to make sure that I could continue to have that money. Is just make sure that I have accounts with a lot of interest in them. So I just live off the interest, and I have $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually my kind of answer. Like, the first thing I would do is I would put my money, spread it out in a bunch of accounts. I don't want to put it in, like, the freaking stock market, because that's just the game right there. I would put it in banks, get live off the interest and stuff. I don't know if I would buy this is going to sound stupid. I want to live in a fancy hotel. Like, like that way every morning a woman comes in and cleans all this shit. I don't have to worry about it. There's a doorman.
But essentially, when you're really rich like that, you can literally just buy a really nice apartment somewhere and then have a servant person come in every single day.
Yeah, but I mean, I want the doorman. I want all that shit.
You would have all of that if you live in a fancy apartment.
I'd probably buy an island somewhere. Like with a place of my own I could visit every once in a while. I would try to, like, with that kind of money, you could really disrupt things in the gaming industry too. I would buy up all these companies or whatever. Like Torrance explained all this before, like where you could really fuck shit up. I would try to
definitely do that. I mean, if you, $100 million, right? Yeah, you could buy a couple.
Well, the first thing I would do is I'll be like, hey, I own the coalition now, and everybody's getting paid. Like Richard will still be the head of it, obviously, but I'll be the financer. Everybody's getting paid. We could hire a bunch of people, really spruce the place up. We'll be the #1 fucking site out there. That way we'll get our revenge on some other sites who thought we're shit. Which would be good. Yeah, I mean, I would go nuts, but yeah, definitely the first thing above all else, you make sure that money makes money, because you don't want to be. I've heard tales of people winning that much in the fucking lottery and losing it like within a month. Just spending it on bullshit, both buying cars. I'm like, why are you? I don't even need a car. I'll have somebody drive me. I'm rich now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely the way people who win the lottery has had, they've definitely had situations where they've just gone totally poor because they've just been spending it on everything.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'd probably stay in New York. I don't really want to go anywhere else. I guess E3.
You can own. You can own another apartment on the other side of the country and be like, well, it's too cold here. Time to go.
I could do that. Go south and stuff. Yeah, because the thing is, if I could make back a few million every year off the investments or whatever, that's perfect. Go, I'll do that stuff. But buying a big fancy mansion, I don't want to care about that. I don't care about fancy cars. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I'd probably die with more money than I got, because I'm not too crazy like that. I know there's gonna be people coming out the. Oh yeah, obviously set all my friends up, as much as I could. Give $1 million to all my close friends, not all of my friends, just my close ones, because people are gonna be like, hey, man, Tony, remember when we used to hang out in 7th grade?
All these people come out of the woodwork, family you didn't care about, all of a sudden be like, hey, I heard you were rich.
Yeah.
Let's be friends.
Shit. With that kind of money, I could have people assassinated too.
Well, you don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there.
No, you don't want to get into that because as soon as that happens, you're in shit creek.
I want to go into space. Buy a trip to space. You know how NASA's doing that shit now? They give them $1 million. They take you up to space and stuff. You float around and shit. I want to do that. That'd be cool. Maybe I'd buy a piece of the moon You know, invest in that shit.
Well, apparently people already own parts of the moon, according to some stupid real estate guy who's like, well, Quadrant 30 something, I sold that to this guy. Bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could do, but yeah, definitely you want to invest it so you make more money. You don't want to lose all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, we lost Brian.
Yeah. Anyway, Chris, what about you?
I would travel. I would probably start a business. I think I would start.
Oh yes.
I would start my own video game company, just a small development studio. I'd probably start an animation studio too, just so I could stick it to everyone and be like, this is how you make stories, and I don't give a fuck about television. I don't care if I just put this on the internet and sell it in Walmart. I would just make the stories I want.
Well, I mean,
I just feel like Dave Chappelle. I'll tell the stories. I'll sing the songs that I want to sing.
You could totally just take that stuff to like one of those downloadable servers. You could do it to like Netflix and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would just get a bunch of smart people together, like Manny and a bunch of people, be like, hey, let's make something fucking awesome, you know? And
That's
it's like,
true.
and then just
Fund a movie.
yeah, and not be like, I want a giant spider in it. And it's like, how about we just get talent together and figure out something cool, and then go, hey, Netflix, you want to help me fund this, and then just make fucking shows, and then
There you go, man.
I think that I would be happy doing that.
Chris, I like the way you think, man. All right, let's see if Brian will actually be stable now.
Wait, I'd buy a movie theater though.
Ooh, that'd be good. Your own movie theater, you go in there and stuff.
Yeah, one of those old school, like, you know, like my biggest one of my things was like, you know, there's that old RKO theater that's on Main Street. I always wish that that thing was open, and I would love to buy one of those old school theaters and pimp it out, make it look like it used to, and then just show really awesome movies in there.
There you go. Hey, Brian, what about you, man, before you cut off again?
What was the question again, sorry?
What would you do with $100 million?
I guess besides pay bills. I guess that's more.
Yeah, besides that.
Yes, but I paid my fucking bills.
Apart from like the obvious answers, like set up my friends and family so that they don't need to work anymore. Put it all in a nice little like trust fund, so I still get paid from it to keep the money, and probably just not tell people that I have money.
That's a good one.
That's also a good one.
Yeah, you're right, because that way you like give your money to your friends and family that you want to have this money, but you don't tell the world. You know.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about the other. Like, yo, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell nobody shit.
No, because because people would come out the woodwork for you and your money, because you know how people are.
So Tony, so Brian, well, actually everybody, you'd probably pull a Wilson Fisk.
Yeah, I was like, you don't know
all
who I
this
am.
money, and nobody knows who the fuck you are.
Yep. I'll call you up like, hey, Manny, guess who won the lottery, man? Don't tell nobody. I'm hooking you up. Look at your bank account. Manny, you'll see $1 million there.
No, I guess I'd buy the Fast and Furious like license or like name, and then just make them never make movies again of that bad quality.
Wow, man, I can't believe that, because you and I had this opposite reaction. I thought Furious 7 was one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. So much.
Wow.
I miss movies like that, man. Just give me a crazy action movie. They don't do that in Hollywood anymore, and it's fucking action, but not Michael Bay action. It was still fucking good. It had heart. You know, it wasn't this bullshit.
I was laughing half the time. I'm like, this is fucking.
I was laughing the entire time, and it was great. It was so ridiculous. It was so over the top, you know. And then Brian, I would buy that shit off of you, so I could keep making them like that. You know, it's like just like no more car stuff. Just go nuts. You know. By the way, as far as I'm concerned, because I finally watched all of them. As far as I'm concerned, I liked all the movies, even Tokyo Drift. That movie gets a lot of flack for some reason. But I think the series got better after The Rock joined. When they just like action movie, like that's when the shit got really good.
Yeah, because that's when it became a generic action movie instead of an actual focused movie about something, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, they actually did that on purpose. They're like, hey, you know, the car stuff is kind of niche. How do we expand it to a broader audience? Just make an action movie, and it worked because I like it better that way.
But you didn't support it from the start. I supported it from the start because I loved the idea, and then they made Fast 7.
There's only the thing is that
what about people who have watched it from the start, like Tatiana? She thought it was great.
Tatiana likes turbochargers.
Yeah, and she also likes Jupiter Ascending. So yeah, maybe she's not the best character. But anyway, $100 million.
I'd buy a game studio, make a game about something. It will have a a message in there. I'm thinking mainly around what was it? The whole wired culture that we have at the moment. So basically, like Watch Dogs, but good. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's about it, really. You know, buy
Yeah.
myself like a nice car, not drive it because that's what you do when you buy expensive cars. You buy them and not drive them.
Yeah, it's just have a whole
Well,
collection, man.
you could also
put them in your
build
house.
a course where you can drive your car
Ooh,
fast.
you know what? Here's a question. Since you're a car guy, Brian, what cars would you have? Like, if you could buy 3 cars, which ones would you have in your garage?
Shit, I don't know if they're available to buy as such, but I get a Koenigsegg. I get the Agera R, not the 1.1, because I like that better, and I like saying Agera R because it sounds a lot nicer than 1.1. That's maybe some. I know that they had a Subaru concept at some point. I think it was like the Subaru, the P1, some random concept car that I had was really nice, and some giant fuck off 4x4 car. So I'm thinking like a Dodge Ram with everything just packed on it.
You
And
wouldn't
that's
buy an Aston Martin?
No, I'm not a fan of those. I'm generally just not a fan of Aston Martins.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You name them all. I was doing this podcast. I'm getting how I didn't turn my fan on, man. I'm dying here. Awesome.
Yeah, named all 3 of them. And Tatiana's recommendation of getting a McLaren P1. No. Sorry, Tatiana.
All right, next question. This is a pretty good one, too. What pisses you off the most about the press side of the industry? There's a few things. Like, I'm talking about as an independent press guy, I don't like the fact that I'm made to feel like I'm, like, lower than shit, basically, when I go to events and stuff. Or these, like, E3, it's like you go there and you assume, hey, I'm press, I should get to see everything everybody else does. That's not the case, you know. You go there.
There's definitely a hierarchy between press.
Yeah, and then I don't like the fact that, you know, press, you're essentially just like another marketing tool for these companies. Like, you know, I don't know when that exactly happened, but I'm writing something. I'm like, I'm just writing a fucking commercial right now. Like,
Yes.
like, you know, so that shit sucks.
That's also why that you know, the whole YouTube thing also works out for them too. Is because like it's free marketing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what press are. You're essentially just a monkey for them to use. You know, there's a whole bunch of other shit I'm trying to think about. But yeah, the thing that bothers me the most is probably the peer thing. It's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if you're at Kotaku. You're not better than me. You know, I don't give a fuck. You know what you think. I don't like that the kind of cronyism that goes on between like the hierarchy press guys and like the big game publishers. I don't like that shit. It sucks. That's all I can think of right now. There's a bunch of other shit because, you know, I'm trying to focus it just on the press because in the general scheme of things, the whole gaming industry is fucked up. You know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't work. The gaming press does not work like other press. Like, you know, it doesn't. You're not. For most of these guys, it's like you're almost evangelizing their products.
The embargoes are bullshit too. It's like
embargoes are bullshit.
It's stupid. Like, for example, I want to go see that silly movie Unfriended. Right, it doesn't come out till Friday. I could tell you right now all my thoughts about it. Right, the movie studios don't give a fuck. I have never ever had them say don't say anything before this date. With video games, these are the same people that you could ask them, hey, what are you going to do with Call of Duty this year? We haven't confirmed that we are going to make a Call of Duty. I'm like, but you've made a Call of Duty every single year for the last 10 years. We can't confirm that. Like, they're so guarded for no real reason.
Yeah,
you know?
because they want to build that anticipation of the product.
It's my ass.
Even though it's like hey, they go, hey, a new Call of Duty's come out, and you go to yourself, what else is new?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the press side, it sucks most of the time. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with a lot of the things that Tony is just like, you know, you go to an E3 and then you just have, you know, like you have these other guys that just look at you like you're just a fucking douche. I mean, there's only a couple of guys out there that are classy enough to realize that you are doing, you know, you're trying to do this because you enjoy the industry and you want to report to your people. You know, like what was it? Who is the guy from Game Trailers?
Oh, Daniel Kaiser. Daniel Kaiser.
Daniel Kaiser,
he's a good guy.
Dude. like, he even's like, is like, yeah, he's really supportive. He's like, yeah, keep going, do what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. None of that shit. Even the same thing with Crescente. Same thing. He doesn't, doesn't really belittle you. I'm sure at some point he was definitely at that point too. And it's just like, you have the other guys, like friggin', I don't know. I think some other guy in the industry said something like, oh, I don't trust, when somebody, who's not, who's a lower press comes over to me, I feel like when they say something to me that, like, I'm gonna, that they're just kind of doubling back on something, mean that they might have said to me. I'm like, really? That's fucked up, man. Seriously.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Everybody's not out there to fucking curse you out. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. It's insane. And then I haven't really experienced this myself too much, but when they tell you, like, in your review, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that, it's like, fuck you, I'll talk about what I want. Like, who are you? It's ridiculous. Again, it's just, we're just tools for them. That's all it really is. That's what it's become. Brian, go ahead. I know you got some thoughts on this.
I want to save most of them for an editorial piece that's coming out in May.
Oh,
so
shit.
I can't really say much. But I can just say, like, the hierarchy of, like, press people, because it's kind of bullshit. Like how the small guys like us get shit on by other people, and just it's not cool.
Yeah, I love how you wrote Google remove my overlay.
Well, Google remove my overlay, so that's
if you guys saw last week's episode, same shit happened to me.
Nah. Let's see, there's that, and then just the obvious one is the blatant, or not the blatant, but the background deals that go on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't need us to tell you that they go on. You just look and you can tell that there are certain times when certain deals go on and the general public are not told about it. All I'm saying is that Mountain Dew Jeff Keighley thing was a big eye-opener for me. And then also there was the Jeff Gerstmann, like, GameStop thing as well. It's kind of like, there's something going on here that we don't know about.
And the thing is that nobody's talking about, but this to this day, this shit still happens. By the way.
Of course it does.
We're not going to name any names because we know what companies do this. But
yeah, that type of shit.
No shit that happens. It still goes on. That's with Jeff Keighley. That was just a public version of it. This shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, did you guys hear about that thing that happened with the PR company for Shadows of Mordor?
Oh, what happened?
Essentially, they said, this only like for the PC side, they said, okay, we will allow you to review our game, but as long as you follow, like, these set guidelines.
Yes, and that shit.
There was, like, a whole bunch of shit, like, oh, you can't mention the movie, you can't mention certain things about the game, blah, 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 blah. And only if you agree to them did you get a review copy of the game. And it was kind of like, that's not cool. Just let the game be played and,
It's them trying to control the because again they're serving this to you beforehand, so that means that they can make the rules as to what they're doing, what you can say and not say about their products.
And the press has allowed it to get to that point.
I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, as much as I love Metal Gear, they did the same goddamn thing too. Konami said, to these guys, they couldn't tell anybody about how big how much space Metal Gear Solid 4 took to install on your thing, and how long it took to install.
Yeah, you don't do
or the length of the cinematics in the game.
Yeah, it's all fucked up. Chris, get in here, man. I know you got some thoughts.
Well, yeah, the thing's kind of been poisoned and corrupted by money for sure. I mean, a lot of industries have the same problem. I was talking earlier about pharmaceuticals with my girlfriend, and how, I mean, your doctor's just going to push whatever company is giving them the most kickbacks, whether it be Pfizer or GlaxoSmithKline or whatever. It's like that's what the drugs you're getting. So the same thing is kind of happening with video game journalism, and I just think that the cronyism and the backroom deals are just poisoning and ruining everything. We're not getting honest opinions anymore or honest reviews. Like, companies are dictating how reviews are written or what you can say or can't say. It's like you're pigeonholed into either giving it a positive spin or no spin, right? unless you like us and you buy it yourself and you can say what you want. But like he said, they downplay the smaller groups like us, because we're giving pretty honest opinions. And I also am kind of annoyed with all the kind of trying to dictate how games should be made or what should be represented and stuff. I'm just sick of it. I'm really sick of that, especially when it comes to like I keep going back to the Final Fantasy 15 demo video review in on Polygon, and it just pissed me the fuck off.
Wait, they did that?
Yeah, they did. It was just ridiculous.
They actually reviewed a demo.
They had like they played the whole thing and they were talking about it live, and they got to Sid, and there's a female Sid in Final Fantasy 15, and of course the outrage came out that it's disgusting how women are represented in video games. Well, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Isn't there a guy with like his bare chest just showing?
Yes.
The blonde guy, like. Did they just not see him at all, or what? Or are they just blind? I don't know.
And it was the guy that complained. He was like, "Hey, that's gross." I'm like, titties are gross."
It's not sexy when it's a guy showing off his chest and stuff. I mean, obviously these characters are meant to look sexy. You look at those guys; they look literally like a fucking boy band. That's the first thing
like a boy band. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, here's the thing: plain and simple, people. People like to play fucking sexy characters, male or female. Nobody wants to play a freaking fat cow character. And if they do, they're obviously, it's like, okay, that's their preference, but that's rare.
Yeah, let's just be honest.
Well, my thing is, it's like this that you're not making Final Fantasy 15, so shut the fuck up. If you want Amish women in your games, make a game with Amish women in it or something. If you want your mechanics to look realistic, that's fine. Then make your own fucking game and stop telling people or dictating how games should be made.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't need. Here's the thing: you don't see movie reviewers telling these guys how to make films. They review the film. Right. That's it. He doesn't say.
Some of them do that.
They say it's good or bad, but they're never like, she's dressed too slutty, and his acting is, he should act like this guy. It's like, well, no, they just say the acting's bad. This is bad. This works. This doesn't work. That's usually a movie review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now game reviews have gone to like, oh, well, they should change this and they should do that. Who the fuck are you? Shut up.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's because they're trying to be relevant, because they know ultimately they're just a fucking entertainment reporter, That's all
they're trying to find outrage where there isn't any.
Exactly.
Outrage.
Anyway, let's move on. Last question. This is a very open-ended one. I guess each of us will interpret it differently. Where do you draw inspiration from? Manny, I guess I'll go to you first, since you're like the bona fide artist here.
Yeah, well, both you.
Yeah, but I'm going to rephrase. I guess you're like the most high-profile guy, but yeah, we all draw inspiration from different places. But
it's a couple of different things. I mean, it kind of inspiration comes from anywhere. I like, it could just be something as small. Like, okay, I'll give you one really interesting, kind of weird, moment where inspiration came along. Okay, I think me, Chris, and my girlfriend were on the train, right? And I had just bought this cool new Metal Gear book, which was by Ashley Wood.
He's trying to find it.
Which I actually have it right here, which is this one. This one was all of his stuff from the Metal Gear comic, so I'm showing you that. Anyway, nice. I bought that book, and we were sitting on the train, and across the street from me, not on the street, but in the other seat across the way, there was a guy eating a bucket of chicken, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, and facing toward us was a
He's eating chicken on the train?
Yeah, eating chicken on the train. Hey man, there's that. Yeah,
New York, man, New York.
Chicken on the train, and I'm looking at this book, and I was like, you know what? Old Snake kind of looks like Colonel Sanders to me. So from there, I started drawing, and I drew this kind of funny-looking, like it's like essentially old Solid Snake as Colonel Sanders, which is what I'm showing you here, which is that. So
Yes.
inspiration can kind of come from anywhere for me. It's like I could just be saying, like, so a lot of times, like, I'll take a walk after a really long day of work, or just doing color work or whatever, and I'll just look at the sky and I'm like, that's inspiring to me. Sometimes I want to paint paint a really nice sky. I feel like even just small things, just like looking at the way people walk is sometimes inspiring. If somebody has a weird walk or like stuff like that, I'm always looking around at things and just kind of analyzing and stuff. So inspiration kind of comes from anywhere for me.
Yeah, my answer is actually almost exactly the same as yours. I always see it like leave the door open. Just you never leave the door open, leave the windows open, because you never know where that stuff's going to come from. And yeah, it's like with me, it's mostly conversation. Like I'm talking to someone, it's like, oh, I could write about that. I mean, I remember you and I we were at Valentino's one time. We were talking about Rocksteady and stuff. We're like, hey, would be cool if they do with Batman, and then that led to like, hey, what about if they do another character? I mean, I was like, hey, I could write an editorial about that. So I did one about Superman and all these other characters, and then even on Throwdown, we were talking about something. I'm like, oh, I could make that into an editorial. It's just everywhere. You just gotta just absorb it. Even when it comes to like TV and stuff, whatever I look at and stuff, I'm like, okay, that's inspiration. I always just have it on, basically, just like you do, because you never know where it could come from. I don't really have a specific place. It's not like that. It's just it has to just come to you, because you can't force that stuff either. You can't force inspiration.
Yeah, the thing is,
it has to come naturally.
There's a big difference between like you sit down and you say, I'm gonna draw, I'm gonna create something amazing, and then nothing amazing comes out. But most of the time, things like that come when you least expect it. When you're walking down the street, or you're having a talk with somebody, and you're just like, that makes something click.
Yeah, that's what I mean with this question. Like Torrance goes, where do you draw inspiration from? To me, that sounds like a very deliberate thing. You're like, okay, I need to draw inspiration. Let me go to this. To me, and I guess you, Manny, it doesn't work like that.
No,
it's just,
not at all.
It just comes. What about you, Chris? Where do you draw your inspiration from, if you draw it at all?
No, usually I just kind of have eureka moments like you guys. Like, I'll just see something, or some combination of things will hit me at the randomest moment, either while I'm driving. It used to happen when I was on the subway, too, or when I was on a railroad, and I'd be like, oh, that's a good idea. That's why they always tell you, like, bring a sketchbook or something with you, because you never know when you're going to have ideas, right? I used to carry a tape recorder and a sketchbook with me so I could make notes, and that's like 80% of where inspiration, because just like hit you at the most random fucking odd times,
I will say this, though. When I hate getting inspired, I'm pretty sure you guys could attest to this, when you're in bed, almost about to go to sleep, and you get an idea, and you have to get up and create it. It's like, fuck.
I also find inspiration tends to come when your mind's a little bit lucid.
Yeah,
if you're a little bit tired or something like that, that always happens to me too, where it's like I have a lot of ideas tend to come out when you're kind of like a little dizzy from being tired, from being tired in the day.
Yeah, I can personally attest to it never works when you say, I'm going to sit down and be brilliant right now. That never fucking works.
No.
Ever.
It doesn't work like that at all. No. Brian, what about you, man?
You guys just pretty much covered all the bases. It can come, because inspiration comes from everywhere. So as long as you leave your mind open to things, then it'll just come to you. It'd be like a boss in like a Souls game. Like the first time you go into it, you just don't know what you're doing. But then eventually you're just like, okay, I got you down now. I know your patterns. I know how you're going to attack, when you're going to attack. I know your stages. And then just like boom, I got this. So I don't really draw from anything in particular. It just happens, and it can be when I'm walking down the street or I'm listening to a song. Even sometimes when I've been playing Elite Dangerous, it just something just happens. It's weird.
Yeah. Right, so we all pretty much have the same answer. Exactly. It just comes, All right. Let's go. Oh, my man Subgator. It's been a while.
Oh.
So this will be good. Okay, I'm sure you've discussed digital games and such, but will updates hinder playing games when services are stopped and no longer supported? For example, Zone of the Enders HD needs some updates to work as intended. What if someone purchases it down the road and Sony ceases support for PS3 game updates? Same with other games that need digital release dates. How will that person update the game, or they are doomed to play and experience a bad port? Yeah, we've been talking about this shit for years.
That is a very big question.
Yeah, because a lot of these companies don't think that far ahead. They only think in the now. It's like, okay, this thing's broken, patch it. But they don't think, hey, what if a person buys this game? Okay, Fallout 3, broken ass game, right? You need a million updates for that thing to work. What if you buy it 10 years from now and those servers are no longer there? You're gonna get a broken game perpetually, because they don't like the following. What does it mean? I mean, you're not talking like the following shipments or whatever press printings. They don't have those updates in them,
They don't do it like they don't do like they used to, where essentially they would put the updates on the actual discs and stuff eventually. There was kind of a bad error in Metal Gear Solid 2 where the game would freeze after you first see Metal Gear and you talk to in Revolver Ocelot makes his big speech. The game would totally freeze at that point. So what happened? For the old game, what they eventually did was they released new copies of it that had the error fixed. But for games now, it's like they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they don't. It's so. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's gonna be bad in like 10 years when people try to play these old ass games.
I'm gonna tell you, like when I first played Bloodborne, the game actually was slightly different. When I played, the character, the camera was really close on my character. You could see the character really well. So I played that first, all that stuff before before the update. Then I updated the damn thing, and the camera was different. Some other things were changed. I'm like, whoa, this is weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, get in here, man. I know you got some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think that the short-term strategy for a lot of these companies now is they don't really care that you won't be able to do that kind of stuff down the road. Like, it's not that, like, the timeliness of games is not a factor anymore because they're developed with short-term in mind. Like, patch now, fix it later. A year down the road, release a Game of the Year edition that incorporates all the stuff, and then you'll be fine with that. But if those servers go away, they're really not thinking about you in the long term. They're not thinking 20 years from now when PlayStation 3 is a novelty, when you dig it out of your attic or your basement and you go, oh, you know what? I love to play whatever, Zone of Enders or whatever, or Metal Gear Solid 4, and you're just like, it's trying to connect to servers perpetually that don't exist and it doesn't load. And they're not thinking about that unless they're going to put out another version of the game that is isolated, that doesn't need anything, but they probably won't. So
yeah, it's interesting. You're right. Like 20 years from now, you try to play Metal Gear Solid 4, you get that original one. Remember how now they patched it where you don't have to go through those long loading screens anymore and stuff?
Oh, well, now you can actually load the whole thing into your console as opposed to...
you won't be able to do that if you just get the original one. That's
the thing is, what's funny? Metal Gear Solid 4, other than that final patch and the trophy patch that they did to it, they only changed that. Oh yeah, and they locked off Metal Gear Online, so that'll still be on the main screen, But that game is not a really good example of, because the game still worked and it didn't have any updates.
Yeah, that's true. Fallout is a better example because that game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's broken even with the patches.
There are some games that you cannot play without the patch. Think about Assassin's Creed.
Oh shit! Yeah, you try to play Unity 20 years from now? Forget it.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is, you try to play a Nintendo game now, no problem.
Well, the thing is, the thing is, yes, because also there wasn't a lot to deal with in those days. They had AI, but it was very light AI. It's not.
No, but the point is, you can still play those games now, but you won't.
There's been games that have been broken like out of the box.
But I'm talking in general. Not like every game has a 1-day patch now.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Brian, get in here. I know you got some thoughts. Brian.
They fucked up. That's all you say.
They fucked up.
The whole thing is just fucked up because on one end, okay, it's good that they can patch it, but on the other end, like this is one of the issues that I've had with like always online stuff in general, is that the people that don't have internet connection, they're pretty much screwed because they can't get the updates, like they can't get the patches. So it's hard to think about it, but like, somewhere there's some person who bought AC Unity for the PlayStation or Xbox and they can't update it, so now they're stuck with AC Unity like that.
Vanilla, yeah. Oh man.
Well, there's all sorts of stuff now. Like 20 years from now, I was saying dig up your PS3 or whatever. It probably won't work because hard drives go bad and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like even if you could get your console working later, I mean, I'm sure companies are assuming that we'll have a streaming service or something that will have all your old games. So you just keep giving us money and you'll keep having your nostalgia. That's how they want it. That's where the short term works to their advantage. Like, they don't want you to go to a classic game store and buy a game and have your old system working forever in perpetuity like old Nintendo systems. They don't want that. Like, you know, I could go plug in my Genesis and I have my Genesis. It works. Like, they don't want that. They want you to keep feeding the machine. And like, if you don't have internet, like, you know, Dan Matrix said it, like, well, fuck off. That's basically what he said.
Yeah, Xbox 360.
I'm sure that sentiment is shared across the board. They don't care, and you know, that's.
Well, then again, everything's gonna get remastered anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, remastered and put online and all this shit, like, and that's not to say like all the innovations that'll happen that you won't even have normal Wi-Fi or Ethernet or whatever anymore, because they'll invent something else, or Apple or Google will take over your house and fucking make proprietary bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This is along the same lines. Do you consider games broken when they are shipped / sold with bugs, glitch infested, missing advertised features, or need a release update as soon as you pop in the disc? If so, shouldn't that prompt consumers to return to the store for a refund and reimbursement? Very good question. Because if you let's think about it like this, you go to Best Buy, you buy a TV, right? And the shit is broken. You return it, right? Why can't you do that with a game? I'm just posing the question.
Well, I did that. I returned Unity.
Yeah, okay, and it worked. So there you go.
I did. I took it right fucking back to the Target.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? That'll probably send a good message to the companies. Like, no, don't ship us this shit. Don't ship these broken games. Here you go. I'm returning it back. Yeah, you know what? That's my answer. Yeah, do it. Return your broken shit.
Yeah, I mean, I could say definitely. I mean, I haven't done that in a long time, but yes. I mean, you know, if you had like also, you know, having some people might want to have, could have a zero tolerance plan where it's like as soon as they buy the game, they're just like, fuck it, this doesn't have anything that they advertise and it's broken.
Oh, well, yeah, you mean crazy people, you know.
Just do that, you know, have a zero tolerance of anything, any errors that you find.
No, I don't know about that, but when it comes to broken stuff, yeah, I think you should be able to return it.
I'll tell you a story. I have like the most broken, the worst broken thing that I ever had was Metal Gear Solid 2. That game, and when I first got it out of the thing, I went through at least 4 different copies of that game that did not play after that first cinematic. So I found 4 games that were broken.
Wow.
That's crazy, because you and I bought the game around the same time. The first copy I got is still the same one I have.
I returned that game 4 times.
Damn.
Give me a new one. So.
That's
and then
crazy.
it was also reported that like people are having this issue with it. But nowadays, since the internet's so big, if that would happen to any game, you'd hear it.
You mean like Unity?
Yes.
All right, Brian, I know you got some thoughts on this.
Okay, the term broken means something completely different to me. To me, it just means that it just doesn't work. But then that could mean that mechanically it doesn't work, or there's certain things about the game that stop you from progressing. That literally means that the game is broken. Like, you can't play the game. So maybe, like, again, as Manny said, it like freezes at like a certain place and you can't continue, or save data gets corrupted and you can't continue. Like that type of things. Like, to me, that means broken. There's faulty, which means like glitches, bugs, and freezes and all that crap, which you can deal with, in my opinion, but it's still not something that you should have to deal with. But in all honesty, like, we should be like returning these games. And also, and this is something that I guess people won't really be happy with me saying, as people that review games, like, we should say, hey, this thing doesn't work like this, or like this thing is broken and that thing is broken. So it's also up to reviewers as well to like speak up and actually tell the public that, hey, look, this game is broken, don't buy it. But as some people say, you shouldn't tell people to not buy games because that's ridiculous.
Okay, now because you said like, oh, I'm going to say people are going to like it. I listen. I'm like, wait, what you said is perfectly reasonable. I mean, think about it. I forgot what game it was, but Callum on the site, he reviewed a game a couple months ago. He literally gave it a 0.5 because this shit would not work. You know, how are you gonna make that into a good story. You can't.
Yeah.
You know.
As much as like stuff like that, like it gets to me because like I know how much work goes into like making games, but at the same time, if the game is broken, then like it's your job to tell. Well, that's your job as a reviewer. It's like your job to take a product, and then review it for other people and say what's good, what's bad about it. And if the game doesn't work, then you say the game doesn't work. You know, it's
You're
like
a
you've done
reviewer.
your
You're not a
part,
cheer.
you know?
Yeah, you're a reviewer. You're not a cheerleader. You know.
Well, there was always a thing where it was like, you know, I forgot what, you know, it was some person, you know, some old reviewer said that really companies shouldn't be you really, you know, companies, you know, like shouldn't be friends with reviewers because they should fear them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know,
it's not like that. They're buddy now, and they're literally sleeping with each other in some cases. It's insane. Chris, thoughts? Chris gone now?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you guys said. I don't think I have anything to add to that.
Yeah. All right. Last question by Subgated. This is a little bit of a long one, so let's get in here. Involved is the word I was looking for. All right. You can only choose one game to play, but the rest will be sacrificed to the gaming gods. Which do you pick? So the choices are Metal Gear Solid 5, Final Fantasy 15, Witcher 3, The Division, Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, Batman Arkham Knight, Dragon Quest Heroes, Mad Max, No Man's Sky, Xenoblade X, Halo 5, and Project Cars. So you can only pick one, and the rest of these will be burned.
You know which one I'm going to pick.
Metal Gear.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's an even Batman, right, man? He's like, nah, I'm done, son.
Nah, man, I'm cool with Batman, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. Well, I mean, I don't need it. Sorry.
This would be easy for me if it wasn't for Batman. Now we got to end Final Fantasy. That's where we. I'll come back. Somebody else go in. I need to think. I already know what my answer is going to be, but I need to think some more.
Also to my DC employers, the views and opinions that I have are not indicative of DC Comics, and yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to give my answer. I just realized something. This is going to be the last Metal Gear game. Yeah, I said it. I don't care. So yeah, I have to sacrifice Batman in Final Fantasy night because this is the last Metal Gear game ever released. Yes, it is. Sorry. All right, go ahead. Let's see. Brian, you go first.
Well, off the bat, I can sacrifice Metal Gear because at this point the plot is that convoluted that I'm probably lost as it is.
I agree.
But like right now, I'm tossed up between Final Fantasy, Witcher, Division, and Project Cars. Sheesh, it's really tough. You know.
It's a great question, man. It's a hard one.
Okay, I guess I'll scratch off Project Cars because it's track racing, and track racing is like I consider it to be the most hated type of racing for myself. Oh no, sorry, it's one type of racing that I like the most. So no, like the least. Sorry,
like the least. There you go.
Yep. Fucking hell. Final Fantasy. So either a JRPG, European RPG, or The Division. Shit. Like the JRPG will just be like stupid fun because it's fucking JRPGs. Those just like out there crazy. But then The Witcher is like more adult, more serious. Like
titties.
Then, The Witcher will definitely be sexier in all ways than Final Fantasy. So there's that. And also Ubisoft and their track record. Think about it. The Division could be bad. Or could be broken.
Trailer with like. But then every time I hear The Division, I just think of that one part in the trailer where the guy like sticks out his hand to close the door as he's walking past. Yeah. That just blows my mind completely. Fuck.
Brian, you need time.
Okay. Now, which one has most replay ability? I'd say The Witcher 3.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You know. Sorry, Japan. Sorry, Ubisoft. No. Why the hell am I apologizing?
Yeah, don't apologize to Ubisoft.
I'm a PC player apologizing to Ubisoft. That's not right. Yeah, Witcher 3.
All right, there you go. I like the way you came up with that too. Very methodical.
You're a very methodical man. The type to kick his tires before leaving.
What the fuck? We already got comments on this episode. Anyway, Chris, you go ahead, man.
I think I'd have to go with Metal Gear. I would choose Metal Gear because I love the series, and honestly, I don't play Final Fantasy anymore. I haven't played any of the Witchers. I know they're damn sexy, and I should play them, but I haven't. The Division could be busted. Don't care about Deus Ex. I could just play Batman Arkham City, I guess, and be happy and cry a little bit that I won't get a new one. Don't care about Dragon's Quest. Movie games are generally bad. Don't know anything about No Man's Sky. It looks awesome, but who knows? And if it's bad, I could just play Elite Dangerous, so there's that. I don't give a shit about Xenoblade. We had 4 Halos. That's a good run. And I don't drive, so Project Cars is out for me.
Oh, man. All right, moving on. Phantom Vash. I haven't had time to watch the Netflix Daredevil show yet, but what's everyone's impressions about it? All right, we're going to keep it short because we're going to do.
You don't want to spoil anything. And
we're going to do it. No, we're going to do a spoiler alert, so I don't want to ruin that. Yes. This is the okay. Like I was telling Manny, I'm so happy that the real Daredevil, the Daredevil we've been reading for years, is on the fucking screen now. That's Daredevil. That's motherfucking Daredevil. So I'm happy they got it right. They got it just right. It's perfect. And I love the fact that this show makes every other superhero show look like bullshit. Now, I can't imagine watching Arrow again and like feeling the same tension that this show brought up, because Matt Murdock gets fucked up. Like Arrow, he never gets fucked up. Some guy punched him in the face once, and he's fine the next day. He's dancing around and shit in his little club. Matt Murdock, even the second episode, they find the dude in the dumpster. This is great. By the way, watch the ending of the second episode. That whole, it was just one shot, no stops at all. I was like, okay, this is cool. So, but not gonna say any more. But yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I want to watch it again. It's great.
Yeah, I really like the show. I actually do want to watch it again, just to watch it, because it's just it's the way they develop with all the characters is really well done. They've managed to kind of take bits of lore from all the different incarnations of Daredevil and kind of mix them and weave them together. And then also you get a lot of fun little callbacks and stuff to other Marvel things, which is also really cool. I just think that they just were able to distill Daredevil into a really great package. For a bit, I was thinking to myself, man, I wonder if you could actually edit this into a film.
That is, and then the real answer is the 13-hour film.
It would be a 13-hour film, but I mean,
the way they filmed
what things could you cut out and lose?
That's what I mean. You can't. That's what I mean. They said
a cohesive story.
No, but they said this is specifically a 13-hour movie. You need to think of it that way. That's what they set out to do, and that's like what they did. Because there's always little things they keep calling back to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the only episode I could say that they could do without was the Stick episode.
Yeah. I thought that Stick episode was great. He's a great
awesome.
Stick, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, but spoiler alert, we'll superly get into that. And hello, Brett, you're joining us.
Hi, sorry about that. We got held up at a Game of Thrones feast, or a Feast of Thrones, if you will.
We're gonna do a spoiler alert for you guys for that too.
I have been adjusting so much awesome media. It is it's great coming off like a month of just work. Man, I've been watching. I've been playing Bloodborne. I've been getting some Game of Thrones. I watched Daredevil.
Yes.
How do you like that segue?
Okay,
yes.
Brett, how many episodes did you get in? Because I want to know if you at least saw episod 2.
Yes, we saw episode 2.
Okay, we're not gonna get into too much spoilers, but what do you think of the way it ended? That long.
Okay. I'm really glad you brought that up, because as it started, I kind of look at Rachel and I was like, "Are you seeing this shit? They're not breaking away." And then we watch back, and they cut the camera down the hallway, and they cut back in. There's guys flying out of doorways, and the way I was like, I was breaking it down. I was like, you see the way that they're like pulling the camera and setting up the shot before the line of action cuts back into the shot. Like, this is amazing. Like, they are doing it so well, and like it cut out, and I look at her, I was like, I think that scene just fucking sold me on this series. Like,
that was
right there.
That was it for me, man. I don't want to give away too much, but I like the things he did in between fighting, where it would be like, I'm not gonna.
The people got back up. It wasn't like he just run in and went, and they just went, and like fell against the wall. Like they sit down for a second, and see him in the back, like, yeah. And they kind of like stumble and like get back up, and they're like, okay, and then they'd run back in and boom, catch a shoulder to the, like an elbow to the face, and they just drop back down. So after a minute, just like this poor guy is just like knocked down and like gets the sense walked in and was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. This is my anime moment. All right, I want this more. Blam, just gets laid the fuck out like the third time.
Yeah, they were, you know, that reminded me of Old Boy. There's one sequence in Old Boy which is very similar to that, where it's just like it's not cutting like that. It's just like a one long shot, and he's just walking down this hallway and just beating the shit out of all these dudes.
So yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, it's fantastic, man.
It is a good show. Anybody who you guys should see it. You know, put all the silly stuff we've been saying about how that black suit looks. It grows on you, and even the new suit looks really cool too.
Yeah,
you finally see it in motion.
This is the show I wanted Arrow to be
Thank you.
bad.
Yeah,
like it was finally, and I was like, I love Matt Murdock's attitude, like. When he throws the guy off the roof into the dumpster, and they're like, "Is he gonna die?" And he listens for a second, and he's like, "No, he'll live." But I love the fact that he threw him into the dumpster, like clearly not giving a fuck if he died, and then he had to stop. He's like, "Oh, will he? I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, I still hear a heartbeat. He should be fine. Like, no fucks given. Threw a motherfucker off a roof after stabbing him in the ocular nerve."
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, Brad, this is what I said at the beginning of this. I love the fact that, okay, like, do you want to know why I like Daredevil? Watch this show because they perfectly captured him. It's fantastic, man.
But do you think that it has that gravitas because it's online only? And remember what I was saying before, like, you have a lot more freedom. Arrow has to worry about standards and practices and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah,
on
that's
TV,
the thing, though.
right? Get the biggest audience possible. They don't give a fuck with Daredevil. Like, this online, they know exactly who it's for. It's for you, Tony, and so that's why he does that shit.
The thing is, and I got actually just that one question. I need to go off into a few other things. Okay, first of all, this show shows me just how much PG-13 and TV things really hold back superhero shows, because this is the way it's supposed to be. I can't imagine watching Arrow now. The show's gonna be a joke now, because Arrow, like I said this a little bit earlier. Arrow goes in there, he's gonna beat the shit out of guys, and he's gonna win. With Matt Murdock, you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure he's gonna win, but I don't know how badly he's gonna be fucked up after he wins. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen, so I can't imagine it. But yeah, and the other thing is, just like with the comic books, the reason Daredevil is so great in the comic books is because he's popular enough where people want to read him, but he's not popular enough where they could just do fucked up shit to him. Same thing applies to this show. They could just do whatever because they could take risks because they know no one's going to get offended, like with Spider-Man or Batman. You could do crazy shit with Daredevil, So yeah, this show is fantastic.
And it was also, also said it's also, it's also a pretty damn good Batman show too.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
When I was watching, I was just like, I'm like, I thought that Batman felt like, oh man, this is dark and this is adult, and I'm like, no, this Daredevil is.
Yeah, Daredevil makes Batman
look like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Every fight ends with him being completely fucked up. It's great. Dude, even if he wins.
He wrecks people, too. Like, I've seen him just snap bones. Not accidentally, not because somebody fell, but because he blocks a thing and goes, snap! And, like, the elbow just, like, pops out of the skin. You're like, oh, shit, there's, like, a little blood spurt. Would he drop the fire extinguisher down, like, 3 flights of stairs?
Yes.
That hit the dude, there's just blood everywhere. I was like, oh, damn.
It's great. All right, let's get to the next question. This is the one I want to ask. This is fun. Okay, going off that, who would win in a fight, Daredevil or Green Arrow? Or actually, I should say Arrow, because here's the thing. There's 2 ways to go about this. We're going to answer it from TV versions. This is why. Comic book version of Daredevil is way more highly trained than he is in the TV show. But Green Arrow in the comic books is not as good at fighting as he is on the TV show. On the TV show, it's flipped around. Daredevil's a little bit weaker, but Arrow is badass.
Okay, so we're gonna have the comic book question separately because I couldn't disagree, but like more.
Okay, let's go with the TV show one. Who would win in the fight?
Hands down, Daredevil.
Yeah.
he would do one of 2 things. He would either just immediately be like, oh, it's you can't shoot a bow without your wrist, and he'd break his fucking arm, or he'd just rush in there and punch him in the throat. Like, like Oliver Queen does this whole like, oh, I'm gonna slowly get back up, and the bad guys are gonna let me. Like Matt Murdock is ruthless.
Yeah, but by the time he's getting up, he'll do a flip and kick him in the head.
He's brutal. He's brutal, and apparently he can ricochet objects off of walls.
Mm-hmm. Because he knows the trajectory and stuff.
That's definitely one thing from the comic, where it's just like he can just bounce things off he bounces his billy clubs off the walls and stuff.
How? How does he know that?
Because he's like a bat. He senses, man.
Yeah, he knows where the sound waves are going, so wherever he throws his billy club is where that is going to bounce also.
I'd like to see
sound
him
works.
tap his billy club a couple of times. Like there's a guy actually. He's a blind guy. He makes like clicking sounds from his mouth, and you can actually hear them reverberate off of objects around him, and so he can like ride a bike through a street and avoid cars and things like that by like clicking. Like I'd love to see Daredevil incorporate like him like tapping his billy club like every once in a while and using it like an echolocation, like crouches down and taps it before he throws it.
They kind of do that in the crappy Affleck movie.
Yeah, I know, and that's
like
the only
sprinklers
instance
to
where
do
it's
that?
used.
Like he had that stupid scene where he like hit the sprinklers and the water droplets were giving him that echolocation.
Yeah.
That movie sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something that's one thing I just like to see in the comic books, like like extend the billy club into a staff and just kind of like tap it against the ground and then launch into attack. Every once in a while, just so like you get a little tink tink. And like that could become like a trademark thing. Like if you saw him like extend a billy club into a staff, like go into a loud position and just go tink tink. Like you'd be like, oh shit, here it comes.
This is about to happen.
Yeah, like it could be a cool little thing, but like I appreciate it. And I forget, in the comic books, is he covered in chemical waste when he loses his eyesight?
Yeah, the chemical waste would blind him and also gives him his powers. You know how it was in the 60s? Radiation.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I always forgot that he was doused in it though. Like I kind of thought he just got it in his eyes.
No, it got all over him.
Yeah, he got all over him. Yeah.
So yeah, that really explains a lot more that I was apparently just missing a chunk of.
Yeah, I don't like how the show doesn't even like. Okay, whatever. He has powers. Go. That bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you just enough. It's like it gives you. He doesn't do like that whole moment where, like in like the Affleck one, like when I got hit by the chemicals, I got powers. I could see things I couldn't see before. They let you experience it as he is experiencing. Like another like, okay, his senses. I'm gonna tell you, even in the beginning of the show, they never explained fully what his powers were. Really.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's the point in the hospital where he's like, everything's so loud.
Yeah.
And then they kind of tell you like, oh, okay, he can smell, like he can hear, like.
Yeah, just by giving you visual cues or things like that, like stuff that he's just doing, and you're like, oh wait, he's a little better than normal.
I thought it was a pretty good narrative vehicle bringing in a secondary character like the nurse, in which she started to find out his power set, and that was the way that the audience found it out.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, wait, you can do what now? And they kind of it was the carrot and the string. So I kind of like that kind of thing, but I'd like it if at some point they would. And I'm only a few episodes in. If they could address like, yeah, being doused in radioactive waste tends to toughen you up a little bit, but he's like, nope, my dad was a boxer, got the shit beaten out of him. Like, okay,
they give you
Murdoch's going to take a punch.
They give you two. They give you somewhat two explanations behind that. So
yeah, they don't fully go into it. Even though the comics is kind of weird.
He just is a tough dude. That's it.
Yeah,
he's just like that. It's not like he got extra skin or anything like that.
It's just enough that you can fill in the blanks yourself. Like, how is he like superhumanly agile? Well, that goo. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, because since his senses are enhanced, like his balancing is like perfect or something like that. Something like that. That's how they explain it in the books.
Yeah, but still, like, you can't generally leap 6 vertical feet in the air.
No, he can't do that.
Position.
No, you can't do that. Remember, he's still a regular dude. No, I'm talking about like.
That's why he's getting beat up.
Yeah. No, but I'm talking about like his I guess spatial awareness is just more enhanced. That's what they're trying to go with that. But he in the Ben Affleck movie, it's like, why is he turning into a CG guy? He should not do that.
Yeah, like in the Ben Affleck one, he just tosses himself everywhere, and it doesn't matter.
It's like, this is a regular guy.
Leaps off of a building.
You know, yeah, that's why I'm glad you got the parkour guy. I'm like, that's what Daredevil's supposed to be
Yeah,
doing.
there's some really great. There's a couple of really good scenes where you get to see him like doing some parkour over a bunch of stuff, and that's cool too.
Yeah. Anyway, Manny, you want to? We'll go to the comic book question later, but Manny, who do you think will win?
TV, yeah, TV. I'd say Daredevil TV would beat Arrow TV.
Yeah. Now, Brett, tell us about the comic book because I don't know much about Arrow. I never.
I mean, the reason why we said, like, me and Tony were kind of talking about this a little bit before, but it's like, isn't comic book Green Arrow just a survivalist? He was just on this island for a bunch of years, and then all this, he's just able to survive. So in other words, he knows how to survive, like, hunting animals or in all this other situation. I don't think martial arts and all that other shit is, part of that. They only added that shit in the TV series to kind of, to make it a reason why he can beat the shit out of everybody. Awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Like, I think a lot of superheroes that are built well though are kind of built with the rock paper scissors template. And the Green Arrow he's a trick shotman. Like, he could fire 4 arrows and have him hit 4 different targets. All he's basically got Deadeye's power set, right? And the only reason I say in this particular instance that he would beat Daredevil is because Daredevil is blind, and the whistling of an arrow, while it may be an audible clue, like, an arrow moves so fast that they've done tests. Like, human reflex does not actually move fast enough to stop or deflect an arrow mid-flight.
What about superhuman reflex?
Yeah, but does Daredevil have superhuman reflex, or does he just have incredible spatial awareness?
Okay, yeah, you're right, because here's the thing. When he's getting ready to shoot the arrow, he's going to hear that, so he's going to know, hey, let me get ready for something.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how many arrows.
No, he doesn't know, but he will know, like, as soon as, like, okay, as soon as
it draws. Have somebody try by hearing sense alone and trying to pinpoint the trajectory of 5 whistling arrows all spread out in a fan pattern, hitting at different trajectories. Like, it just doesn't seem feasible to me.
I know, but again, remember, he has these crazy, like, maybe he'll be able to hear them all, but he may not be able to dodge them all.
Here's the thing: if you rely on ground game and have to get within 20 feet of Daredevil, I'm probably gonna put my money on Daredevil, unless you're fucking Wolverine. Like, I would pick Daredevil over Captain America. I would pick Daredevil in a close quarter combat over fucking Iron Man. But I would not pick Daredevil over any kind of ranged or flying superhero, because he requires so much tactile or audible feedback that anything that's not making footsteps or giving off those sound waves, I think that's going to be his weak point. The same way anybody with mental manipulation is going to be Wolverine's weak spot. It's not a testament to Daredevil not being a badass character. It's just.
I know that, but the thing is, he's dodged bullets, So, like,
he's dodged bullets by being evasive. He's dodged bullets by, as soon as he hears a gun go off, like, he dodges and rolls and tries to find cover, and that's fine. But that's against fucking henchmen. That's not against somebody whose power set is to be able to trick shot well enough to bank arrows 2-3 times off walls.
So you think?
Well, his biggest villain is Bullseye, and he's kind of thwarted that guy.
Yeah, he's thwarted him, and that's what Bullseye's whole thing is, just throwing shit at him,
Yeah, but I thought Bullseye was also the only person to ever bring Daredevil close to defeat. That's why he's his main villain. He can't beat Bullseye. Bullseye can't beat him for the very reasons that I'm talking about.
He's beaten Bullseye in the end. Barely, but he has beaten him. He crippled him one time. As a matter of fact, I just realized something. Remember when he threw the guy off the roof? That's a callback to Bullseye. He threw him off the fucking roof.
Yes.
And by the way, that was actually a big deal in comics back then. Like, heroes don't do that. Like, he had him off the roof, and typical superhero would just, like, pull him back. No, I can't do that. He had him off the roof. He's like, you're probably going to hurt people again. I'm going to drop you. But yeah, Bullseye, yeah, because he's thrown shit at Daredevil, and Daredevil could just shit, like, react at the last second. But I think Bullseye has tripped him up when he throws multiple things at him. Then he's like, what the hell do I focus on? So Arrow would have to throw a bunch of shit at him all at once, in order to get him.
Yeah, or, Arrow also employs, trick arrows.
Yeah, exactly. Think about one of those arrows as a sonar arrow. That's gonna fuck things up for Daredevil. It's like some crazy.
That has to also be the point when if Arrow realizes that Daredevil is totally blind.
And that's where the question goes, because Manny and I were talking about this. We were like, hey, who would win in a fight, Daredevil or Batman? We're like, Batman, because Batman will figure out, hey, this guy has extra senses. I'm going to use that to my advantage. How long would it take Oliver to figure that out?
You see, I think it's just the opposite. I think Green Arrow is essentially a wilderness Batman with more range. So while he doesn't have like the high tech set, like I think he'd figure it out pretty quick. And like the problem with Batman is Batman still has to get in close to fight. He doesn't have.
He has batarangs. He has batarangs.
Yes, batarangs, but he doesn't. I mean, I guess it depends on which run you're talking about, but it's not like he has a whole bunch of like batarangs with different devices in it. The Arrow's whole point is stay 200 feet away from
Batman has a utility belt with tons of devices in it. Like the minute Batman, and he usually goes for this, the minute he throws a smoke pellet and Daredevil doesn't miss a beat, he's gonna realize he's blind. Smoke doesn't matter.
This is true.
That's the thing about Daredevil. You have to use his powers against him because you can't do that. And that's also why I like the character. His own powers make him vulnerable, So if you order to beat him, you have to figure out, hey, this guy's blind, but his senses are enhanced. How do I use that to my advantage? And if Oliver could figure that out quick, he'll beat him. But if he can't figure it out quick, he'll lose.
Yeah, I think it's personally it's one of those and maybe it's just that I played too many class-based RPGs, but it's just that Daredevil's gonna have to get fast to you. If you could just kite him around and trip him up even just once or twice by firing 6 arrows at once or firing a bunch of explosive arrows in a circle surrounding him and hoping that's enough debris to trip him up or busting part of a ledge out from under him, like you can get away, and it would be hard for Daredevil to chase Green Arrow, in my opinion. And this is just
what about
my
the Billy
opinion.
Club? Like if he throws a Billy Club off a surface, bounce around and hit Arrow. Is that possible? Would he be able to react in time?
In my scenario, you would almost treat Green Arrow like a sniper. And a sniper, I think, like Green Arrow would have to know, don't get close enough. Like, there's a limit to the amount of distance you could throw a billy club, and the distance you can fire an arrow is greater than that.
I gotcha. Yeah, because
that is the magic zone that Green Arrow would have to stay in. And probably it's just because I think tactically because I've been playing Bloodborne, so it's like you got to stay in this one fucking sweet spot, and they can't do anything, and then you can just chip away at them.
Yeah, you're right about that, because Daredevil could easily be like, hey, okay, I hear his heartbeat over there. Let me throw my shit there, but his arm is not going to be as strong as a fucking bow.
So, but I would say that, I don't know, like, in the Daredevil versus Batman, I think if Daredevil could corner Batman, he'd beat the fuck out of him.
It's possible. I mean, I don't know, because Batman's had all that training, but then again, Daredevil has had that training too, also by ninjas. That'll be an interesting
Batman Batman was ninjas.
Yeah, well,
Batman
Batman was trained by the League of Shadows.
The League of Shadows, but in the old days, it was just him training at different, trying to prepare himself through different means.
Yeah.
It
was like a quest. He backpacked across Europe.
Yeah, I don't actually like that part of the change they did to Batman, because why does he have to be trained by a bunch of ninjas? Why couldn't he just be a guy who went out and essentially bought his way to a really awesome,
Yes, money is one of his superpowers.
Yeah,
it is. It's true. Chris, what do you think, man?
I honestly think Daredevil would win because I think he would just get in close and just make it hand-to-hand, and I don't think that Green Arrow in any incarnation could take him hand-to-hand.
Wait, hand-to-hand, it's a wrap.
Oh, yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Like, if you get within... I'd say if you get within 50 feet of Daredevil as the Arrow...
Also, Arrow would...
Fucked.
Yeah, Arrow would give himself away every second. Remember, Daredevil's hearing is impeccable. He would hear him drawing a bow from wherever, and he would just figure out how to get in close to him, and then... he's done. He would just lock him up.
That was also part of the training with Stick too?
It was, yeah.
He would shoot arrows at friggin' Matt Murdock, and he would have to catch them.
That is true. I forgot about that.
And that's why I make the distinction between comic book, because comic book Arrow is a completely different character than TV Arrow. Like, comic book Arrow is a man in, like, Princess Bride, Man in Black-esque badass. who's has like these awesome wilderness skills. Like I imagine he would treat Daredevil like prey, which is a huge difference from like what Oliver Queen is, in which he just be caught being mopey and get the fuck beaten out of him with a billy club.
Yeah. Daredevil doesn't do that mid-fight, man. He'll do that afterwards. Actually, he's too busy hurting to be mopey. You know?
I want to see a TV show like crossover where the TV Oliver Queen has one of those moments where he flashes back in contemplation to build his strength, and it's cut short in the middle by a billy club to the face, followed by relentless like when Joker beat Robin, it's just like relentless billy club beating.
Oh man. Do you see Kingpin yet? In the show?
No.
Okay. So you're only 3 episodes in, because we'll talk about Kingpin later. All right. Let's move on here.
Just out of curiosity, is he Black Kingpin or White Kingpin?
No, he's white. He looks like the guy from the book.
I think his name is.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio. You know Vincent D'Onofrio, crazy guy from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. I almost feel like at no point Vincent D'Onofrio in the past could have ever played this role. Vincent D'Onofrio at this point in his life is perfect Kingpin.
Yes, before he wasn't. Now
he wasn't. But he was in Men in Black. We couldn't take that Vincent D'Onofrio and make him into Kingpin.
Looking for sugar. Sugar and water. Sugar and water. By the way, Vincent D'Onofrio is a character actor. Like, he's not Vincent D'Onofrio in a movie.
He's not.
You know? Which is great. All right.
I appreciate character actors way more than your standard.
I'm looking. I'm like, this is the Kingpin. This is great. Very different Kingpin, but we'll talk about that on the spoiler alert.
He does a little bit of a different voice. When he plays him. Like,
yeah. All right. Another one by Mebs. Okay, I know we all hate how Capcom milks a Street Fighter game when it comes out. Do you think WB, who own Mortal Kombat, will do the same? There are some characters that appear in the story mode but not available as selectable characters. If you exclude the Mortal Kombat pack DLC, there are currently 25 in MK10. I know each character has 3 variations, which makes sense. Okay, so do you think Mortal Kombat's going to go down the same route? Did they do that with the last game? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think they did. I know they were adding characters. They were downloadable characters, and they were constantly doing live updates to the game. They could just rebalance the game. They had some way of just streaming those balancing updates. Whereas Capcom never does that. They just make you buy another version of the game to get rebalanced characters or add characters. So I wouldn't say they'll be as guilty of that. I know that they have DLC and stuff but every fighting game is doing that, so they're like, why don't we just do that?
Apart from Tekken.
Oh, that's right,
DLC
Tekken.
Characters.
Okay, yeah, Tekken. You're right. I stand corrected. But Killer Instinct is doing it. Fucking Capcom is guilty of sin for fucking make you rebuy the game. Forget about DLC.
They ruin it for everybody, man.
Yeah. So I don't think they'll be as guilty of it, but I think they see an opportunity like, hey, we can make a little extra money off of these, like putting in movie horror characters and whatever, in there. So they'll do it. But MK9, they were pretty good about it. Like, they rebalanced the game, whatever. You didn't need to buy another version of Mortal Kombat. So I don't see them being nearly as bad as Capcom.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that answer. Anybody else want to jump in?
I think you need to prepare yourself for some DLC characters, personally.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, it's here's the slow eroding problem that's been at least the bane of my existence in video games for a little while now. Like, yes, they will do it, and yes, they will continue to do it more, because for some fucking reason we all keep buying it. And so they know that they can, and so they will. And, WB has a real spotty record with DLC. Sometimes they're good about it, sometimes they're really shitty about it. So I think that it's just they'll see how much they can get away with, because everybody knows Street Fighter's gone a little too far with it. So I don't think they'll do that, but I think they'll say, like, okay, that's too much. How much is okay, though? Like, how many characters? Is 25 enough characters? And if we give you 10 more DLC, is that going to be fine? Or do you just not want DLC characters at all? And if you say that, they'll probably not listen to you. So it's vote with your wallet, with what you think is fair, but be prepared that if they cross a line, you're either A, not going to get to play a video game you want, or B, you're just going to have to pay more for it.
Well, I think they were more genuine. I know in MK9 you were really downloading a character. You weren't downloading an unlock file for a character that was already in the game. like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, or like that. They were guilty of that. They're like, oh, Jill Valentine and Shumagorath, they're gonna be DLC. Bullshit.
They were in there already.
They were in there.
Yeah, already in there. $5 each. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time you ever got them for free is if you got like not for free, but you've actually played the extra for the collector's edition, where you get them early.
And I'm not going to say like MK10 is not going to have some bullshit season pass or whatever, because WB is guilty of that. But
it does.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. The bullshit season pass is real. So there you go.
Oh man. All right.
All I have to say is they announced the characters in the season pass before the game's even out yet. So they deserve a fuck you. The same thing with Batman Arkham. Is it Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight.
They announced like the Harlequin DLC in the
game
announcement trailer for the game.
Yeah.
It's insane.
If that's not contempt for gamers, I don't know what is.
It's insane, man. Completely insane. All right, last question for Mebs. This is more of a technical one. I completed The Order and Infamous Second Son. What's with these games not being able to reflect the character you're playing in a mirror or a glass door? That is a very good question. Manny, you kind of explained all this.
Well, because number one, it's because doing reflections is incredibly taxing on the system. So a lot of times they have to pull a little bit of sneakery for like some games. Most games, the way they do reflections is the realest, weirdest thing ever. But what they do is they essentially when they make a wall that is supposed to have a mirror, it literally has a duplicate environment on the other side of the mirror, and it essentially you already have your character loaded. It just makes a duplicate character on the other side of your wherever mirror, or even reflective floors. The reflective floors sometimes will also have an extra location underneath, an extra like lower res location of it underneath it, and make an alternate version of your character flipped upside down. That's the way they do reflections. To do real-time reflections would mean they have to, because when you're playing a game, they don't render the front side of your character. So everything that you're seeing is anything that's being blocked is not being drawn. So anything that's behind you in the camera, like let's say if we're playing here, this whole environment outside of my area right here is not being drawn. So that means it's not being drawn in the memory. So the only time you ever get to see it, it gets drawn once you turn the camera in that direction. So that even goes for the same for a character. Take me again, for instance. The back in a video game, the back of my head would not be drawn. So in order to do real reflections, you'd have to draw both sides of the character in order for them to reflect. Then also draw the environment that's behind the character in reverse. So it's really taxing to do, and a lot of companies have figured out kind of ways to get around it. Where in other words, they sample the environment and flip it upside down or something like that, stuff like that. But that's the big problem. So there's either make a duplicate of your character and have him loaded on the opposite side of your mirror, and make a space behind the mirror, big enough to hold the character and a simplified version of the environment, or draw the character, the part of the character that's not being seen, as well as drawing the environment behind that you're not seeing.
All right. Anybody else want to add to that? That was a pretty thorough explanation right there.
No, not much to add. It's just expensive. Like
it sounds like it should be so simple. It's like you think of a reflection, you just walk up into a mirror and there you are. You see a reverse of yourself. But for games, that is a lot more difficult. That is why games are able to run the way they do, is because they don't need to draw everything that you don't see off camera.
There's a lot of cooking games these days.
I will say I was pissed that the rearview mirrors in Far Cry 4 didn't work. Because that would have come in handy, where I'm like getting chased and like, shit, you got to turn all the way around while you're driving and try to shoot.
Oh man, like, hey, there's a war elephant coming after me.
Yeah, like even in the Crew, like the side mirrors, they don't work when you're in cockpit view, but yet when you're in third-person view, they work, which is really strange.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
All right, essentially, so long story short, it's very hard to do, and basically it's not going to happen this generation like properly. Yeah. Maybe next generation or the generation after that, given Moore's law, but yeah, it's It's hard, very hard, and involves light and stuff. That's
Yeah,
all
and
you need to know.
you're saying this as a programmer. You know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. If you're interested, look up something called ray tracing, and then you'll see why it's very hard. Because that
Yeah,
shit's
even-
fucking expensive crap.
Because even just doing that, something like ray tracing, where essentially you're trying to to create shadows, is insane. Like real-time shadows. A lot of times that even guys, even doing real-time shadows is insane. Like a lot of times they'll do just a cheap trick where they essentially create a silhouette from the actual game model. So it's another version of the game model being repeated. That's even easier. You can't even do that, like a real-time shadow.
And just a quick bit of interesting information. Watch Dogs it doesn't have real shadows when you are nighttime and you walk up to like a car. Your character doesn't have a shadow. It's really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, sometimes in shaded areas, like when you're walking into an alley and there's no, for some reason, it does the same thing where you don't have a shadow.
That's pretty nuts.
Weird.
Which is why I point out that thing at the Uncharted 4 reveal back in December, where they had when he was inside the cave and the ceilings were like reflecting light, but yet the water wasn't like reflecting light as well. It's kind of like, I see your trickery there, sir.
Yeah, they're not. That's what a lot of a lot of doing this stuff is. It's just trying to find, low-cost ways of trying to do these sorts of things because, again,
Yeah.
it can be very taxing on your system.
No, that's not all.
All right, Brett, since you're here, you see the questions. Any you want to answer? I actually want you to answer some of these Torrance ones. They got deep, man.
Yeah, I was looking at these. Let's see. I don't know what Otherthink means by the PS4.
He's being a troll.
powerful.
He's being a fucking troll. That's all.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Brett, answer the question. Like, do you think that it's as powerful as Sony said?
Yeah.
Or not?
I don't know how powerful Sony said it to be, other than it's the most powerful of the current gen gaming systems. Which, yeah,
It is.
yeah,
It is, yeah.
it is.
It is. That's the fact, man.
So it's everything is comparison based. Like, is it a super powerful PC packed into a streamlined version? Like, nah, not really. Can you build a PC with equivalent power for the same price? Not really, unless you find some crazy awesome sales or some people willing to sell you some secondhand equipment from their fuck off awesome PC. Like, it's possible, I suppose, but if you're going strictly for gaming, a console's still going to be a better, price option for you. And then, if you decide that you want to be able to adjust graphics or do mods or open that can of worms, then you can pay a little bit more money and get a little bit more options. It's like any hobby. You have your entrance level stuff, and then you have I want to get down to the nitty gritty of it. Even my e-cig. I have a standard, stock kind of model, but they have these, crazy things that are this big, and you can adjust the variable voltage and the airflow and all this other shit. I'm like, I don't care that much. I just don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. So there's that. And I think it's the same way. So yeah, as far as home consoles go, it is the most powerful home console the living room has ever seen.
So sorry. There you go.
That sounds like unnecessary flattery, but it's just kind of a fact. And putting it that way is flattering. But I'm building a straw man to make an argument. So take that for what it is. What do you guys think of the HipHopGamer episode? Do you want to destroy something beautiful first? Is he talking about when HipHopGamer was on our episode?
Yes.
Yes.
We already
kind of felt like that's what we did on the episode.
I think so. I think we did destroy something beautiful. You don't need to go too. We kind of skimmed over that one.
Yeah, no, I found that funny. Like, did I want to destroy something beautiful afterwards? Like, no, I felt like I just kicked my way through a china shop. I was like, I feel bad, but kind of cathartic in a way too.
Man.
Let's see. If I had $100 million, what would I do with it?
Oh, we got deep with it, man. You missed some good answers.
I would probably start some kind of creative endeavor. I'd like to start a comic book studio or something like that. Like, I'd like to do my own creative work, but I would love to open up avenues for other people to do creative work too.
Yes.
I personally think that thing's kind of very important. I think just about everybody here had, a video game or a movie or an animation or something like that kind of touch on them, and it was a turning point. It was vitally important. It's kind of what I was talking to the animator about. Like it's these moments where you're like, this is something that I love, and it changed the trajectory of your life. And I kind of really feel like, man, my purpose would be, man, I want to pass that same thing along to as many people as possible, whether it be like doing comic books or working on a kid's show or giving other people the opportunity or the avenue to do so. Just as long as it gets out there and people get inspired, then I'd be happy, and I think I'd put my mind towards that. Also, I do awesome Oprah-esque drop-ins and just give away $100,000 at a time. Be like, man, your yard's looking a little run down. That washer needs a little. I'll tell you what, build a new addition, and you get a new car, and you get a new car. Just to watch everybody shit their pants and then make it rain and walk away, because just that kind of altruism would just be beautiful and satisfying on a basic human level. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't afford dinner tonight? Well, how about dinner and a Ferrari? Just the kind of shit that people will be like, I can't believe that happened. This is never happening again, but it was awesome. It's the kind of shit they tell their grandkids about. That seems like it'd be super fun. What pisses me off the most about the press side of the industry, that they're more interested in reporting about the press side of the industry than the actual fucking video games that they're supposed to cover. I don't really care what your opinion as a journalist is on the current state of journalism. If you honestly, as a journalist, think that you can be unbiased about the bed that you are both shitting and sleeping in, then I don't even know where to fucking begin other than pick up a dictionary, learn the definitions of some shit, and then come back and we'll talk. Also, you're not social crusaders. It is not your job to try and institute the kind of change you want to see simply because you have the media outlets strangled. That's a weird kind of fascism, and it's not okay. Fine, put up your op-ed pieces, but clearly label them and put them in a place that the rest of us don't have to fucking trudge through your emotional bullshit in order to get to the stories that we want. Because not everybody has some crisis from when they were a child, or some of us have fucking gotten over it and don't feel the need to lash out and tell people how to live their goddamn lives. So if you can't learn that lesson, and I understand that not all human beings can learn this fucking lesson and be happy for the happiness of another basic individual, if you can't learn the lesson, at least do us the favor of not learning that lesson somewhere else where you're not intruding upon our happiness.
Bastards. Yeah, we pretty much said that, just not as eloquently as you. It's like, come on, guys, stop with the bullshit.
Where did our inspiration from?
I want to see if your answer matches all of ours. We all had the same exact answer. I want to see if what you say.
Okay. I spam in creative stuff. One of my favorite sayings to Rachel is you can't get anything out if you don't put anything in. So, it's kind of why I said, I've been playing Bloodborne. I've been I watched Game of Thrones. I've seen a couple good movies recently. I'm watching Daredevil now. Like I'm finally able to start filling the gas tank, and it's so refreshing because I felt just wrung out after a bit. Like, I'm sure Manny knows exactly what I'm talking about. After like 2 months of just like being an inch ahead of the deadline, like it's after a minute you're just like, I just want to watch TV because I'll play Mario, or I don't even know. I have nothing. I have nothing left to give. So yeah, lots of creative stuff going in, and the more I learn about creative stuff, the more that I not only enjoy the actual, I enjoy Daredevil because I'm liking the show. I'm also enjoying it on a whole new level because as I've been really studying, cinematography and storyboarding and stuff like that, like I'm finally able to see what they're doing in some of these things, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is genius! And being able to see the nuts and the bolts themselves as well as see the finished product is kind of inspiring. It's the same way I love seeing drawings that still have the kind of production lines in them, where you can still see the underlying sketch a little bit, because you're like, oh, I could really see how they built this. Like, that's interesting. I saw the way they put their gesture line right here, and they built their skeleton off that, and they kind of decided the flow and the direction that and the momentum, and then based the cloth flow off of that, and then it ends up with this really interesting thing. But you can see how all the little pieces are put together, and that moment is when you're like, I need to get up and draw something. And so at least that's where I get it from. Was that the same answer as you guys?
Kind of. You know, the consensus was like we don't really draw inspiration from anywhere. You know, inspiration just comes naturally. So it's just a matter of leaving the doors open. You know, leaving the gates open. Shit'll just come at you. You know, you can't force inspiration. It has to just come to you.
Yeah, it's.
And anything could be inspiring. Anything, any random thing around you. You know.
Yeah, I kind of think that you can manufacture certain kinds of inspiration. Like I'm not saying I'm one of those people that say that there are no new ideas, but most new ideas are in some form or fashion derivative of another idea. Like to have a truly unique idea.
But it's not really about that though. It's just like, you know, you saw something like, oh, I want to do that now. Like, oh, that gives me an idea for this. Give me an idea for that. It doesn't have to be new, you know.
Well, kind of. Like there's two kinds of new ideas. Very basic ideas that people can understand, and then that idea spawns derivative work, and that idea is slowly flushed out until it becomes something more palatable, something that we can all understand. Or a truly innovative idea that does not have a basic simple premise often comes off as very alien and doesn't gain the mainstream appeal it needs to be fully explored. So with that in mind, I think a lot of ideas are derivative, and a lot of ideas are derived from seeing something and liking parts of it and then saying, but I would have changed all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then that kind of sparks into like, well, it's almost like building a scaffolding. You kind of watch some stuff and you're like, I would have changed all this stuff. And then you forget about the source material and just remember about all those kind of changes that you wanted to make and how you kind of would have taken the story off in a different direction. And sometimes that story that you would have taken off in a different direction kind of detaches and forms on its own. And yeah, there's a certain amount of you have these seeds and you're constantly harvesting and you're constantly planting and and you have to let ideas percolate. So you have an idea, you think you do this thing different, it spawns this little idea and it floats off into the back of your head to mature there for a while. But that's not the only idea that you've had back there. You have 4 or 5 different ideas that are all kind of forming in different stages and kind of gaining new layers like a pearl. And then once one gets done enough that you're like, I think I've got this thought through from every angle, you pull it forward and that's when you start to break it down and that's when you start to work on it. I've got probably 4 ideas for either novels or comic books or something floating around in the back of my head, all based off of really different stuff, but all which gained out of ideas like, okay, so I understand a nuclear apocalypse happens. Like, when do you rebuild civilization? And what happens to the technology from an old civilization? Like the idea that I really like theology, learning about the history of religions. And I kind of had this idea one day, like, what about if the history of religions was actually the struggle of, like, the deities themselves? What if, all power kind of comes from just human worship? And then I kind of had the idea of, like, maybe not all power comes from human worship, but maybe, the Golden Age humans were a different kind of humans. So maybe at some point some ultimate being imbued humans with the divine, and suddenly the amount of worship that they give matters. And this started this big holy war where these ancient gods were pulled down and these new gods raised up. That is not even the tip of the iceberg. And you got to share these kind of things. Like, you got to be willing to flush them out and talk about them with friends and that kind of stuff. Like, and that's the thing. Like, hearing those ideas may spawn inspiration in somebody else, but the thing they'll end up with is going to be something completely different than what I have in my wheelhouse. And that's kind of the nature of inspiration. You kind of, take the base things that you like and throw away the things that you don't, and then build off of those things that you like until you've got something that's derivative of elements of other things, yes, but you've at a certain point made it completely your own. And I think a lot of people get really tied up in, this has to be a brand new idea. Like, no, you just have to make it your own at some point. At any given point, like, you can buy this fully fabricated thing, but before it's yours, you're going to have to change each and every one of those pieces out until there's almost left none of what was original left. So it's a different kind of way to look at it, but like I encourage people who are being creative, like, always look for those elements in stories that you like and always wonder what you can do better. And then try and do it better. And it's the same way. Like, I've known multiple movies that started as fanfic of other movies.
Which ones?
Not movies that I watch, but wasn't there some movie out recently that started as a Twilight fanfic?
50 Shades of Grey.
Was that 50 Shades of Grey?
Yep.
Wow.
So,
Written by a woman as well. So all those people complaining about the movie.
Yes, it was a woman that wrote that shit.
So, yeah, that's a pretty good example, though, of here's something that started with being built around an existing idea, and then they just tore out all the Twilight-based stuff and filled it in with new meat, and then flushed it out. And that's part of what making a story is, or and maybe I'm just talking narrative here, but it's they say the writing's in the rewriting. So it's and I imagine it's the same with music. Like if you hear a hook that you really like, take it, transform it to something else, and then build off of that.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, but yeah, we like I said, with me, because it's a different type of thing that I create, but it's always just leave your mind open to anything, because any random thing could just create like, hey, I want to write about that now, which is always fun. Oh, and it could come from anywhere. It's like, I look at a cup, hey, that like one little thing you look at could just set off a chain event and it'll lead you to something else.
Yeah, you can't force it, but you can kind of cultivate it. And what it means is, like, when you need it, you can't squeeze it out, but you can make sure that you keep your bank full by putting in a lot of creative stuff. And
Definitely.
Like you said, being open. So, and that when you have a full bank, it's much easier to squeeze out work and creative juices. And when you don't have a full bank, it's tough. Also, sometimes it helps to have somebody just bounce ideas off of. Even if you just have kind of a bad idea, throw it at somebody, and sometimes just even hearing yourself say it out loud, you'll hear the changes you need to make, and it'll start to evolve into a good idea. And it'll be like,
that happens a lot.
Oh, yeah, I can keep this. Or sometimes a bad idea plugs up a good idea. So maybe you need to write 3 or 4 bad songs before you get to that good one. Don't be afraid to write that bad song. Don't find yourself hesitant to put that pen to paper because you're afraid it might be bad. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always said that, where it's like, don't be afraid to fuck up, because essentially you'll have a bunch of different, you have enough time to create as many things, and you can always do it again. You can make it even better next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do that with my writing too. I was like, Manny, I told you about this a bunch of times. Like, I'll write something that's fully formed. I'm like, I don't like this. Just get rid of the entire thing. I wrote 1,000 words. I don't care. I'm starting over from scratch. And then what I create afterwards is better because I knew what not to do.
You can't be married. You can't be too married to your ideas.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there. It's like I have this idea. I have to get out. It's like, your idea's not good. Try again. It's like, but I wrote all this. I did all this. Like, it doesn't matter how much work you put into it. If it's not good,
toss it in the garbage.
Toss it in the garbage. Start again.
Don't let that idea be the giant spider from Superman.
Oh,
Giant spider from Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll explain it to you after the show.
Or Wild Wild West.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's where you finally saw that spider, because it needed to be brought to the world, apparently. Hollywood. Brett, any other things you want to answer from your? Just cherry pick whatever you want. You don't need to go through them all. It's whatever strikes your fancy.
So basis question, last one.
Go.
I'm catching up a little bit when
Yeah, we got a lot this week.
Updates will stop. Will hinder. Playing video games when services are no longer supported. Yes, this was our problem when we were pissed off about updates needing to be mandatory in order to play certain games. Like, they will eventually stop supporting these games, and you will no longer be able to go back the way that old people like me go back and play Sega games. So yeah, congratulations. Like global warming, you're catching on, but 10 years too late. So yes, it will be a problem. No, you will not be able to go back and play your old games. You're going to have to buy remastered collector's editions, which is exactly what they fucking want. This is the world now. This is the world that you all bought and sold, so I hope you're fucking happy.
Yeah, you pretty much just said exactly what we did, just truncated. That's exactly what we said.
I don't consider games broken unless I cannot play them, and I give a bigger grain of salt to more ambitious games, like the Fallout games.
What about Unity? I have to throw that in there right now.
Unity I couldn't play, so yes, I would call that broken.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead and Fallout.
Absolutely. Like Fallout has a lot of glitches in it, but most of them are cosmetic and intermittent, and it's just the ambition
and freeze up the entire game. I've had that, man.
I think that must have been a certain edition of Fallout that I didn't get, because that never personally plagued me, and if it did, I might have a different opinion on that. But
what system you played on?
PS3.
Really? Because I played a PS3. That was like supposedly the worst one, and I experienced every single bug. Every single bug people complain about, I experienced every last one of them. That game,
Actually,
I saved every 5 minutes because
actually, the first Fallout, I was still in my Xbox days. The second Fallout, or the Fallout 4, I was in
New Vegas.
my PlayStation era.
I got you. That's probably why you didn't experience all that bullshit. I mean, that game got to the point where I needed to save every 5 minutes because I knew, like, half the time when I opened up a door, the game may lock up on me and just stop working. You know, so that game was almost unplayable to me.
Yeah, that'll piss you off real quick. You know, I'm a bug overlooker. Like, you know, even in Bloodborne, there's been bugs and camera glitches where I've been like, yeah, well, you know, sometimes that kind of shit is unavoidable in an exponential universe.
I just had one. I had one recently in Bloodborne where these when you're in Old Yarnum, those creatures that hide in the smoke sometimes.
Yeah.
One of them spawned in the ground.
That's cool.
He was spawning in the ground and he was hitting me from underneath. That wasn't fucking cool.
No, that is not cool. If I chose one game from that list, I would probably pick Division. And on that note, please don't fuck up the Division. I think that's everything.
Awesome. All right. I think that's the show right there. So let's start wrapping it up. Couple of things. Manny, do you ever find your C2E2 thing?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so tell the people what's going on.
Oh, well, so guys, I'm going to be at C2E2 this year.
Woo!
I always do. I'm going to have this Solid Zero, which is my Metal Gear themed art book. Oh, I get a little focus there. Yeah, this is my Metal Gear themed art book. So if you guys have been paying attention to my Twitter, I have a bunch of cool looking stuff inside of here, which we'll have there. I also have this Liquid Snake piece. Print that I'm going to be also putting out there. So yes, if you're at C2E2, I'm going to say it next week on the Throwdown as well.
Yeah.
If you're at C2E2 this year, go into Artist Alley and look for T10. You'll find me and you'll find Kari Randolph, and we'll be selling all kinds of stuff. Me and Kari are working on this really cool Spider-Gwen piece. Which should be cool.
Be
I hope it's tasteful.
Yeah.
I did make a joke to him. I just said because he started it a lot longer. I'm like, dude, just make sure to not draw him in that same pose that
draw her.
Draw her in that same pose that Frank Cho drew her in.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get in trouble. So there you go, people. C2E2 Chicago. That's what's up.
Chicago, yo.
Chicago. Okay, so during this week we're gonna record Game of Thrones and Daredevil spoiler alerts, and they'll both probably go up. Okay, Game of Thrones, I don't know. We'll figure out if we're gonna put it up on the site or not, because we don't do pop culture on the weekdays. We do it on the weekends, but it'll be kind of too late for Game of Thrones, so it'll probably be just a SoundCloud thing. We're not gonna do. I mean, we'll do a YouTube thing, but it'll just be video, like clips and shit over audio. So you just look at the YouTube for that. Daredevil, that will go up on Saturday because that's perfect. Then everybody would have seen it by then. So we'll definitely have that for you guys. And as for Throwdown, I don't think we have anybody special this week, but you never know.
No, yeah, somebody might just show up out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, the rest of us are chopped liver.
Yeah. I mean, they don't care about us. They care about the guests. All right. So once again, thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Check out the co-op, Knights of the Turntable, and Baby and the Beard. Baby and the Beard will be back next Saturday. Took a week off this time because Jaden was gone or something like that. It's like you can't have the show just be the Baby because the Beard was gone. Can't have it. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys, and I hope to see you at C2E2. Remember, T10.
Yeah. Brian Manjoma.
If you want a Bloodborne spoiler alert, you just bug Tony, because we're all ready to do it.
What's there to spoil? There's monsters in it. There's nothing to spoil.
We can talk about the game.
Dude, you're going to make my brain explode. Are you fucking kidding me?
There's nothing to spoil. It's just a game with monsters.
Yeah, there's not like a story in there with subtlety or anything.
Yeah, there's so much lore going on, man.
Yeah, maybe you guys can figure it, because I'm playing this game. I'm like, There's not really a story going on. It's just me killing shit. Okay.
There is.
Dude, you were all the way up to Rom. Do you seriously not have any idea of what's going on?
None at all. I'm like,
oh my god. Okay,
that's because
suffer for like 2 hours.
That's because he
doesn't take a minute.
That's because he doesn't even read any of the item descriptions of anything.
Then the item's like, okay, use this for that. I was like, okay.
No, it doesn't say use this for that.
Anyway,
for that.
You're making Brett cry now.
Okay, anyway, Brett Murdoch.
Flabbergasted.
Bye, guys.
Lost for words, man.
And Chris Seeley.
All right, night, everyone.
All right, guys, later.
Later, people.